I mean, when Vince got Me Too'd out of the business, I did think it was a surprise. But as good as he is, I would not completely count that he couldn't come back. When the men start coming out, it will be a different story.
Wait, he used to bang dudes a lot?
Oh, yeah. But he would hold their careers over, just like he would the women. It was the same thing. You get paid more, you get pushed more. This is not a secret in the industry. There is a lot of homosexuals that Vince came across, but there was also straight guys that just wanted to push in the business where it like turned into prostitution. That was very well known.
If you had to bang one dude wrestler, who would it be? If you're Vince, who are you choosing?
I'm trying to think of without sounding gay.
Go like Rey Mysterio so you don't have to see his face.
See, now that's a stud answer right there. Conor needs a win to prove that he deserves another fight. And he could sell it and he could still be a top draw. I don't know for how long without winning you could do that. But my point is, I mean, Conor really is fighting for a lot. Like quite possibly his career's on the line. I'm sorry for the insensitivity we might have said with the word gay earlier. I didn't see the fingernails. I didn't. That didn't. So.
Are you voting for Worm Man?
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Worm Man?
Is that Trump?
No.
Who's Worm Man?
Come on, dude.
You don't know Worm Brains?
No.
You don't know Worm Brains?
I mean, I assume you're talking about RFK because that's the only person we're not discussing. No, what's a worm brain?
He said a worm ate part of his brain.
Oh, what happened there? That was like a week ago. Why did he say that?
I don't know. He was doing great. Everybody's like, there's a third option.
He was doing great, right? Why did he do it? Because that wasn't to like explain his voice. I mean, it had nothing to do with that.
Like,
right?
if he said a worm ate my voice box, we'd be like, oh, that makes sense.
Poor guy.
Yeah. I know, poor guy. We would have
But it was literally at the pinnacle, right? He's at the zenith of his popularity, and nobody supported Trump or Biden. And he comes up and goes, by the way, a worm ate a piece of my brain.
Yeah. If you look at that's your voice, he goes, no, something.
Did he run that back, by the way? What happened after the worm brain incident?
I think he's just kind of standing on it.
Yeah.
Oh, he is. No, really, a worm has part of my brain.
Yeah.
All right.
I think he said 3 arms would eat my brain and I'd still be smarter than either of the candidates, which is a fairly good response. But
you've seen Men in Black.
Oh, yeah.
It's basically that kind of situation.
Yeah.
Like,
he might be proof that politicians need to lie. Like, he's been really honest about everything, and we're like, chill, dog. This is too much.
He went on the House. I can't remember why they had him in there, but he testified something in front of the House, and Nancy Pelosi, they destroyed him. It was honor of Joe Biden. Like Democrats will eat their own, and Republicans won't do that. But I mean, they destroyed that poor guy, and a lot of it had to do with his beliefs on COVID, which it turned out he was kind of ahead of the curve on many of it. But it also had to do with the CIA and the assassination of his family members. And I feel like that's a sensitive topic to tell him he's wrong.
Yeah, can you blame him?
No, can you blame him?
Yeah.
How would you feel if your father and your my goodness?
Yeah.
By the way, have you ever gone to Dallas, the place where JFK was shot?
Yeah.
If you stand there and you do that daily tour,
you
you just look around to the prison and the suppository in the window, and you go, it is a lie. What would it call? Right? Lee Harvey Oswald did not do that. For sure, he did not do that. At least not alone.
Yeah.
That shot from that window.
It's a good shot.
It's a good shot.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, why doesn't he take it when the car is coming straight?
Makes
He
no
waits
sense.
until the car... It's very relevant, though. And you've seen those pictures. They're very graphic, but of JFK's head, it's like a watermelon. It's so gross. But it's a brain is, it's really bad. So, I mean, you can tell the exact angle that it's at. You can tell. It's like, no, there's no
You're
question.
saying you couldn't make that shot?
No.
Yeah.
I would have taken it straight on.
You would have taken it straight on.
He was military trained, but even a country boy like me, we shot it. You could take that straight on. But no, wait for it to turn. Then even if you took it, though, the point is he was clearly hitting the front based on where the brain is leaving. Yeah. And not the side. And that kind of wraps the whole case right there. Like, you don't have to know a lot about ballistics. You can just look at that photo, look at the window. That's an amazing story. Then Jack Ruby, I mean, that is an amazing story. You know, Trump has that real story.
No.
Trump has that all the presidents do. And Trump promised he would release it, and he didn't.
Yeah,
I mean, he kept like every day. No, it was the time to release it. He wouldn't do it. And was it Alan Dershowitz? So it was a well-known lawyer. I don't think it was Alan, but had contacted him and said, "Why did you not release it? You promised. It was a big thing. I helped you campaign. I really wanted to know this. I'm curious." And Trump said, "If you knew, if they showed you what they showed me, you wouldn't have released it either."
Oh wow.
And he's got, all this aliens and stuff. The presidents know that too. But Trump has really tried to let us know. Yes, there is some. I'm not going to be like these other presidents. I'm not going to tell you, but he is trying to let us know for when it does come out. So
Do you believe it?
I didn't lie.
Aliens?
Golly, what do you call them? Do you call them alien? No, I don't think there's somebody from like Mars or something like that. But I got to tell you this. Everyone that I talk to, and I'm not any different, ghosts and aliens and God himself, it all come. What did your mother tell you? Did your mother tell you there's no such thing as ghosts? All right, then you don't believe in ghosts. My mother told me there was no ghosts. She told me there was no aliens.
A good friend of mine told me, it's a very sound theory. He said aliens are just Asians. And that's it.
I don't know how to respond. Do we laugh or is that?
I don't know either.
It's your theory.
I never said that. I never said that. They look the most similar. That's all I'm saying. That was my theory. My theory is they look the most similar.
Right.
They're the smartest. They probably are the aliens.
Yeah. And see, I'm glad that happened because if I don't want to laugh and then like end up in HR of but now I know it's
HR of what?
Yeah.
Well, you know, ESPN or
No,
something.
we have an HR department. We have an HR department here as well.
I got to tell you, have we started the show? This
I don't
is
know.
the show.
This is what we do. When Chael is
All right.
on,
We let Chael
when
go.
the bad guy's on the couch, he does whatever the fuck he wants. He came on 20 pounds heavier than last time.
my
He's
God.
jacked the
Look at
fuck
that.
up.
Look at that.
Steroids in a little
Fucking-
glass bottle. He's got a fight June 15th.
Let's go.
The
Tell
guy's
him.
on it.
Tell him.
I'm just telling you.
Not only, I appreciate you saying that. There was no salesmanship. This fight, apparently, that I'm doing with Anderson, you can't get a ticket. It's a private event. There's a multi-billionaire that is, it's like his company party. He owns a beer company.
Wow.
And this is a black tie event. He's not even at an arena. He has a place. He set up a ring. He called the Brazilian Commission. You know, like sometimes you'll hear that Celine Dion went and sang for
Saudi prince,
I don't mean to compare ourselves to Celine Dion,
Yeah.
but it's like that. And so we're just going in this room. There, I was told there's 60 people. I read somewhere there could be up to 600. There was a zero added. I don't know which it is. I actually think it's going to be closer to 60. There is no distribution. There is no television. This will not. Somebody will film it, but they're not like selling it or it's a live.
What's the check?
So when I tell you,
That's what we want to
Yeah,
know.
it's a
What's
corporate
the
freak off.
check?
It is a corporate event.
I want to tell you so bad.
Tell me so bad. Tell
Can I
me
give you
so
a hint?
bad.
Can I just give you a hint? Can I hint that? They wanted this fight really bad. They wanted this fight really, really bad.
Okay.
Could you buy a house?
Now I know one thing about Chael Sonnen. That Chael Sonnen once made $18 million on a fight. That's what I. Sorry, eight.
Eight.
It went down.
million.
It went down.
Yes.
He's
Dana,
doing-
he said, Dana White contacted me after I told you that, by the way.
Oh, what'd he say? He's like, there was a rounding error.
He said, it is amazing how you do not let the truth get in the way of a story. It's just like that. And it was this great thing. But he was always irritated when I started blabbing those things. He was always irritated by it.
Yeah.
And then I think there was a part of it, to your point, that might have called the accounting department and said, hey guys, did you give that? He's telling people he got 10. Did you give him?
He does hate budget meetings. I heard him say that on a podcast. He's like, I never want to be in a budget meeting. So maybe he missed that one.
Okay,
He
so
would not ask for it back, by the way. If there was a check that went out,
He'd let it go.
He would never ask for it back.
8.8.
Never.
8.8. So are we in that ballpark with this one?
No, we are not. But I was very surprised. Yeah, I mean, in some regards, I was surprised. I was flattered. But the thing is they were competing with the Middle East. Those guys are doing things right now and fighting that is like changing. It's changing the game, at least for the short. I went to one, by the way. I got invited to Riyadh.
Yeah.
It was PFL versus Bellator. I know they're owned by the same, but they still did a head-to-head duel. It was awesome, man. Francis was there, and Mike Tyson was there, and John Jones came out in the garb, and it was just great. It was just this killer event. They built the arena for this event.
Yeah. And
I saw some of that. It took them 2 weeks to do it, and I was there about 5 days early, so I saw those. It was unbelievable. Where you go one day, and then you go the next day, and there's carpeted and there's bathrooms. And I used to be in plumbing. You can't put a bathroom in overnight. It can't be. They did.
They did.
They put two in fact.
Wow.
One for the women as well. Yeah. Oh, it was unbelievable what they could do.
Yeah.
So East African labor, by the way. If you're wondering like where the labor force come from, a lot of it was
I thought it was
Indian,
India,
a lot of
India
Indian.
and Pakistani.
a lot of it was a lot of Chinese in Abu Dhabi when I went in 2001. A lot of Russian labor in 2001.
What type of labor?
East African, everything. They come in and do it all. Yeah. I mean, they will put those carpet down. You get in an elevator in the Middle East. And you know when you get in one in America, but they got
goes
the
up.
permits.
It goes straight into the sky. The
If
elevators
you get one in America, there's a permit in the bottom of it. There's a fire code. There's like some stuff. There's none of that.
Are you
stuff.
saying you prefer the Middle East to the United States of America?
I'm just saying, man, they are building over there, and they are not stopping, and they're not getting held up by the bureaucracy.
Sounds like they've offered you a fight.
No, they were part of this. They were actually
really?
They were actually a part of why the Anderson thing. I mean,
Because there was bidding war going on.
yes, I'm not trying to brag on this, by the way. It was very exciting. You know, I'm sitting at home, I'm raising kids. I really wasn't. And all of a sudden, not only you get paid and you get a chance at your biggest rival that like keeps you up at night, but it's an excuse to get in shape.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, you're
I'm
on
running out of
crazy
steroids.
shit.
I make a call. I'm back on. But you got to have a reason to get back on. Right? That stuff's not free.
Are they drug testing at all or no drug testing at all?
Well, here's the thing.
We need some AC in here, guys.
But here's the real thing.
yeah.
I would have never failed a drug test. They did a scumbag move on me called random testing that had never been done before.
Pieces of
I was
shit.
the first. Those scumbags.
What
If they would
hell?
have explained
dare they?
the rules ahead of time,
cheating.
I would have manipulated them.
Yeah,
I didn't know them ahead of time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's the game,
The
really.
whole thing. Yeah. So they can test all they want.
But now,
They can't random test.
Now there's no way.
They can't come in and set up flagrant.
That's entrapment.
Yeah, that's entrapment. That would be a real dirty move. but-
okay. It doesn't really matter. The fact is, you're going to get to go in there. You're going to get to beat Anderson Silva for the third time.
For the third time.
How do you feel?
Yeah, for the third time. Yeah. Under any
bullying.
realistic rules.
It is kind of
Yeah.
bullying, dude.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
feel bad about that?
Well, I didn't know how to take it in this regard. He every little piece of my career does tie to him, whether it was a live gate or merchandise sales. I'm just trying to think, maybe a press conference that somebody enjoyed, but it all would tie to him. His career is not the same. He had a lot of other big matches. He had lots of title fights,
Did he?
pay-per-views.
I don't remember.
And
I just remember
yeah,
Chael.
he did. Well, I appreciate that because I've always wondered, was I the special one? I wondered that. Like, was I special to him
you
in
were.
his career?
You were.
You must
Was
have
I
been.
meaningful? Yes.
He's not boxing anybody else.
You're in the
That's right.
documentary.
That's right. And he asked me to do
To
it.
watch it
and,
with him on the couch. Remember you guys were watching
Yes.
the documentary? It was beautiful. And you faked those tears,
Yes.
those crocodile tears.
I appreciate that
So
you
you
saw
could
that.
sell this fight.
That's all true.
Dude, look at that.
It's all coming together.
All right, guys. Life Tour shows this summer. Porterville, California. Eagle Mountain Casino. That is June 28th. July 26th, Waterloo, New York, Del Lago Casino. July 27th, Mohegan Sun Arena. And Saturday, August 24th, Atlantic City. We added a second show. Go get those. Those are opportunities to go check out the Life Tour this summer. Thank you guys so much for coming out to all the shows throughout the country, throughout the world. Appreciate you guys so much. I will see you guys out there. Peace.
Conor is fighting or needs a win to prove that he deserves another fight. Like, it's going to be really hard. And he could sell it. And he could still be a top draw. I don't know for how long without winning you could do that. But my point is, Conor really is fighting for a lot. Like, if you look at it in that perspective, that quite possibly it's his last fight, quite possibly his career is on the line.
Big fight
The stakes
novice.
are bigger than people think.
Big fight novice, but if I'm thinking Conor macroscopically, it feels like he had his peak as a fighter, and then it really kind of leveled off, went downhill from there. Do you think he just wants to reestablish his legacy as a man? Like, even just one fight, I'm going to try to knock this guy out, and you're going to remember what I was, and then I can be out.
Yeah.
I think to a degree, I don't know if he's thought it through that clearly, but I think to a degree, like, I think he's very sincere when he said he wants to go to the Middle East and box with Manny Pacquiao for whatever reason. But they even have a lawsuit, and Conor's got an $8 million judgment against Manny, and he's trying to collect them. I mean, there's actually a real story there.
wow.
But, yeah, to a degree, I think he sees himself as a fighter, not as an actor, not as a club owner.
Like, I got all that, but now I remember, now that I have it and I'm still not full, what I am at the end of the day is a fucking fighter.
Yeah.
You'll see with, like, comedy, Jerry Seinfeld goes and does the biggest sitcom ever, and he's like, no, but I'm a comic, so I don't care about this. I'm walking away at the peak of this thing because I'm a comedian and I'm coming back to this. And
Can
you're
you
gonna remember.
explain the $8 million thing with Manny Pacquiao? I didn't
thank
hear
you.
about that.
Yeah, so Conor McGregor set up a sports company, I want to call it like McGregor Inc., McGregor Sports Entertainment. So one of the first guys they signed, Conor and his partner Audie, who happens to be a great manager and a lawyer, they signed Manny Pacquiao. So Manny Pacquiao did the deal. They paid him an upfront to get him.
Yeah.
And Pacquiao went and did a deal with somebody else, burned them, didn't do the match. And Pacquiao's actually known for that. I think it was Sports Illustrated, but there's a massive publication that said Manny Pacquiao has left roughly $50 million on the table for having multiple people speaking for him that don't talk.
Who's the guy?
So he's just burnt
Who's
so
his
many sponsors.
advisor? Some tall white guy. It's his advisor.
Really?
Conch. He's a guy who kind of like operated in boxing circles for Michael Conch.
Okay. American guy?
American
Or
guy.
you said white guy. Okay. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. And Manny is a congressman or something over there. Do you know the guy? Was I supposed to say his name?
No,
Were
not
you
at
teeing
all.
me up there? Yeah,
no, I wasn't teeing you up at all. I just thought
Okay.
that you might know.
Michael Conks.
Michael Conks. Yeah.
Konczz.
Yeah, apparently he, like, this sometimes happens, I imagine, with fighters where, like, you need someone who is your liaison to all the people that are trying to get things from you.
Yep.
And there are certain people who are very good at mingling and gaining people's trust. And then they gain people's trust, and then they became their, like, sole representative in the world. And you don't even really know him. So the question was, how much was he meddling? I think there was, like, contract disputes with Golden Boy at one time.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so I wonder how much of that is the Michael dude.
Well, and that's one of the things. Like, if you look at Manny, you go, "What an unhonorable guy." How many times did you give your word and not honor?
And
I'm
it's
just
like,
not
might
positive he
even
knows.
know.
Yeah,
He might not even know.
yeah. And I lived a little bit where you get multiple people. Hey, can I manage you? Can I do this? Can I do that? And you want to help. You want to, and so you tell them, yes, if you do that, here's the thing.
Yeah.
But then this other guy that thought he was your manager is like, wait a minute, I'm getting the calls from the same people, and you've given this guy the authority. And so what ends up happening is this person that finds out you have to just pulls out. And that was what the article on Pacquiao was talking about, that he had left, roughly $50 million on the table just from sponsors like PepsiCo, for example, that looked at, we're out. We don't know who to talk to.
Yeah.
That's going to be a problem.
Oh, wow.
And so I only suggest that I'm not sure Manny is quite the disappointment for not being a man of his word. I do think there's possibly he's got some distractions and doesn't know. I think possibly. But Conor and Audie, God bless them, said, look, we'll work it out. You owe us money and we will drop. We have a way to pursue you. We will drop it if
We fight.
Yeah, let's just do the fight.
And then he might need a big win in the UFC to propel him to that superstardom again in the fight game to fight one of these boxing guys to make that $100 million.
You talk about his superstardom. I don't know the exact stat, but I believe it's that Conor's not won a fight in 5 years. Whenever the Donald Cerrone fight is the one that he's won, or possibly he's only won one fight in 5 years, which is now 6. You talk about that. You're on your way down. He's fighting Chandler for no reason. It's not about a ranking. It's not about a title. International Fight Weekend, which is historically Dana's biggest card of the year, is always capped off with a world title fight. Not this time. It's these two. It's got no contendership. Nobody really knows the weight class. We know it's not 155, and so the media's like said it's 170, but it's actually never been stated. It could be 168 or 169. And the reason I bring that up, if you don't have a weight class, you have no point for fighting. They have no point for fighting. Now, before you think I just put the fight down, they already have the largest box office in the history of our industry, not just the UFC.
Wow.
$23 million, and it's not sold out. It's going to come in closer to $27 million. The UFC has never broken 20 million. Their highest gate is 17.2. It was their first time at Madison Square Garden, which, by the way, held by Conor McGregor. He's beating his own all top 10 records, all top 10 pay-per-views are all McGregor. And I figured he could still come in at number 7, number 8, beat himself, but his heydays, nope. He is at his height right now, at least at the box office.
Wow.
Ever.
What is it?
Ever.
What's the formula?
I don't know. What is the formula? Because
Is he
this has
just
never
a superstar?
happened.
Is it just the it factor? And there's some people that just have it.
What about that movie, by the way? He goes and does that movie
Yeah.
on Amazon Prime, but it was the most watched movie.
Roadhouse
in-
or whatever.
Yeah.
He's a star. Conor McGregor's a star. And that's a weird word. Like, what does that mean?
That's what I'm trying to break down. Like, what does that mean? Like, what is the formula? What is the concoction made out of?
Mike Hogan, without the formula for Conor, but Mike Hogan's definition. Mike Hogan is the Dana White of Bellator,
Got it.
by the way. Okay. But he said his definition of a star is somebody that, regardless of opponent or what they're doing, they could box in this case, or they could go do MMA. People are going to stop and they're going to watch. And he said there's only been a couple. He put Kimbo Slice in that category. Okay. And he had Kimbo under contract. He said, man, that guy was a massive star. So he couldn't walk down the street with Kimbo Slice, rest his soul.
Yep.
At any rate, and then you have McGregor, and then you have everybody else. But I really didn't know that Conor, in this sport that is driven, I mean, Conor and Chandler have a couple of things in common. 1, they haven't fought in a meaningful period of time. 2, they're not 170 pounders. 3, they both lost their last fight. As a matter of fact, I think they lost their last couple of fights. Like, there is nothing that a main event or a top draw or a box office hit ever in history has these ingredients that you talk about. I mean, this is a very unique thing. But in Chandler, talking about, he might be my favorite fighter.
Yeah,
I can't get
so-
enough Michael Chandler. And now it turns out he's
Every fight
funny.
is interesting.
Yeah, and then now it turns out he's funny.
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
prepared.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, he's popping in on WWE and he's holding his own with those guys. Chandler's great.
Yeah,
I'm
he's on
glad
it.
he's back.
Yeah. There's I wonder if an aspect of the stardom is is never knowing what they're going to say.
Yep.
So you're compelled to watch or listen because you truly cannot predict what's going to come out of their mouth. And then you couple that with concussive knockout power in your
that's-
sport.
yeah.
And outside of that, you don't need the concussive knockout power. But Mike Tyson is another example of this. You never know what Mike is going to say.
Sure.
He always surprises you. Sometimes he's like, I give all grace to God. I'm a Muslim now. You're like, wait, what, you were just eating kids? Like, what the fuck is? Like, you know what I mean? It's every day there's a new thing, and you have no clue what's going to happen. You watch his podcast, and he's on mushrooms, and he's Bill Burr is saying jokes to him, and he has no clue. He's like straight facing him. He has no clue what the fuck is going on. So I think there is this aspect of what is he going to say next, and when you can also knock people out. Why would I not just look at this dude?
Can he
Anthony
be-
Edwards.
And Edwards,
the basketball player,
basketball.
whatever.
Just says whatever
I
the
think
hell
that's
he
all
wants.
superstars. Like,
Yeah.
I really think unpredictability. Like Kanye is the same way. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's like a human nature thing. Like the thing that you can't predict, you just keep your eye on.
Yeah.
But with basketball, it's if you can't really if there's not excitement, Steph Curry pulling up from 40 feet out is exciting. Ant dunking on your head is exciting. Knockouts in UFC.
Oh,
you
I
need
think what
that
Al was
thing.
saying is in interviews.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
saying
coupled
what
both
I
of
think
those.
that-
Yes.
To your point of coupling it with
You're
something.
right, 100%.
Yeah.
So you have to have an elite skill within the profession.
I don't know if
Yes.
you even need the elite skill.
It's
man.
an exciting
Like,
skill. Home run, you don't got to be a good baseball player, but you got to be able to jack home runs.
Well,
Yeah.
to get into the league, sure, but I think even just on like a media level, with all due respect to like Charleston White, like you have no idea what he's gonna do.
Yes.
He's so entertaining because there's something so mercurial about him. You just watch him, you're like,
Yes.
yeah, who knows? He's gonna pepper spray someone. He's gonna fight someone. He's gonna get canceled.
I would say that his skill is also being funny.
Oh, that's
Because
true.
he
Yeah,
can
yeah.
say anything
Yeah,
and
he's
be
extremely
crazy, but he can also be funny and roast. But yeah, it is interesting how that works. So it's that unpredictability. What the fuck are they going to say? I have no clue what they're going to say every single time they're in front of a camera.
Plus a skill, yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
And that infuriates
exciting
people.
skill.
Yeah, when a guy in his skills or his entertainment can propel his career, like it infuriates. But this isn't about who wins; it's about who can sell the most tickets. Like, no kidding.
Yeah.
They say it like they've just cracked the code. You get these young fighters. They'll come out and do interviews. Man, Dana doesn't even care about it. He wants to know how many people are interested in seeing you fight. Like he just revealed something terrible about the organization.
Oh, Dana's a businessman.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
an asshole.
Oh, Dana puts these on in events because he wants people to come. Oh, he wants them to come.
he wants
Yeah.
it.
Oh,
Well, guys, show dates. First of all, thank y'all so much. We're selling out everywhere. It's fucking fantastic. And this June 21st and 22nd, I'm going to be at Good Nights Comedy Club in Raleigh. I expect every Indian in Morristown or wherever that place is to come through. June 28th and 29th, Buffalo, New York. Then I'm off for a few weeks doing some private gigs, July 26th and 27th, Jacksonville. And Hawaii, get your tickets. I'm coming at end of August, August 29th and August 30th, Honolulu, Hawaii, Blue Note Comedy Club. Get your tickets for those shows and more at akashsing.com. Now let's get back to the show.
are you vegan?
No. Do I look it?
No, I was at a
God.
place across the street.
Yeah, yeah.
And they have spaghetti squash.
Oh, yeah.
And they say you go in and you get the spaghetti squash. And I was like, what
it's
a dork.
meatballs.
It's spaghetti.
What a dork. He gets this spaghetti. I was giggling. I'm like, he does.
Okay, this is why. I'm gay.
Not that there's anything wrong
There's
with
nothing wrong with
Nothing wrong
that.
with
Besides the gay part. No.
Is that libel? Could you sue yourself for
I
saying
could.
that?
I could.
That's
I
very
could.
interesting.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
regular
yeah.
spaghetti is also vegan, right? Like
No,
the spaghetti,
That's a great point.
like the spaghetti
That's a
squash
great
isn't
fucking
the
point.
vegan
Just eating
That's a
vegetables
great
doesn't make it
point.
vegan.
Yeah. No, you got me. I'm trying to find out what it's like. Well, don't
You can say
put,
sometimes they
you
use
know,
egg
some
yolk or
hamburger
sometimes-
in the
sometimes.
sauce or something like that? I mean, yeah, you were saying the meatballs.
No, I'm trying to stay off the bread, man. That's what it is.
Oh, it's a carb issue.
which is kind of gay.
Really?
It's
Yeah, that's
more
gay.
more
That's
gay, which
way
is why I
gayer.
didn't want to say
Being
it.
vegan, at least there was something justifiable.
Yeah.
Oh, my
No,
God.
so they do a spaghetti squash pasta. They make like pasta spaghetti squash. Did you fucking order it?
No.
Yes,
but I
you
was-
did.
No, but I'm
Why
trying
would
to
they
do
tell you
diet.
if you
I'm
didn't
trying
order
to
it?
do this diet thing. Okay, I got this fight coming up. The testosterone put like 13 pounds on me in a week.
Yeah, that's
you know
what
how
I'm doing, too.
depressing that
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
by the way?
What is
you
it?
know how depressing that is?
Wait,
to-
why,
to
why,
be
why?
working out, watching your weight, and gain 13 pounds
week.
in 7 days.
That
Then your
sounds like my
pants
life,
don't
dog.
fit. It's miserable. it literally will depress. You walk by the mirror. You don't want to. You don't want to look. Your belt doesn't fit. No, it's a whole thing. But
Yeah,
it's part of it.
Just
Yeah,
so jacked,
you can start
right?
putting on
Yeah,
that.
it's so hard.
No,
It's
yeah.
fucking
It's like-
ripped.
Well, but I'm saying like it's the opposite. I mean, practice is getting harder because you're gaining weight. Your condition is getting worse.
Wait,
It's like,
wait,
that's
wait.
not- that's
He's
not the way
bulking,
that
and I
should
think with the fat, you still gain muscle. You still gain fat with muscle, I think is what he's saying.
But then the practice getting harder. You're saying your cardio is worse now?
walk
Yeah.
around.
yeah,
because
it's
of the
just
added muscle.
weight to,
Yeah, you know when I'm
the
like
weight
you're trying to
carry.
bounce around and move around. It's like and it's harder. It's
You have
harder.
a weight vest on.
Yeah, it's slowing me down.
But
yeah.
I thought that your one recovery is way better, and two,
Way better.
the time in which you can work out is longer.
for sure.
Okay,
For sure.
Your timing is off in terms of your speed and your cardio.
Yes.
but that is managed by the fact that you can work out twice as much to get it back to where it needs to be.
I think it's worth it. Yes, I mean like the pain that I would have without manipulating testosterone.
It would be crazy.
Managing. Oh my, yeah, really. I'm 47.
Yeah.
and. I mean, I make fun of guys like that. I make fun of guys that go and try to do a kid's sport when I tease guys like this. But, you know, and my wife is like, well, you know, why are you doing I don't really know how to answer that question, but there was one
Yeah.
guy. Like, I feel like I am very civilized and, you know, I would find somebody rude if they challenged me, and then that's it. I was what a jerk. I
Can I,
would
can
go
I
out
ask
and
you a quick
him.
question?
Find
Except
somebody
him.
rude.
Except him. I feel like I can't.
Find somebody rude as
Yeah, I feel like that's a rude thing to
rude.
do. But wouldn't it be like, all right, well, I'll see you outside.
And
Except with him.
how are things with your wife?
She is so hot.
Isn't she?
Oh my God.
Because you said that last
There
time,
was
and out
a
of respect,
moment-
I didn't look, but you were.
There was a moment in the last one, and I was telling you how pretty she. I was doing some bit, and he and I got in a conversation, and her name is saved in my phone as Brittany Hottie. And somewhere you saw it. She texted my
She
phone,
texted you.
and you said, "Oh, I have that same number, Brittany Hottie." That was the funniest thing. I have thought about that after, and I don't even know that I laugh out loud. It's like that was so. I cannot wait till I can do that to someone else, and then they'll think that I'm a comedic genius, like
Yeah.
the way I really
Take all
like
the
that
credit.
joke.
Yeah. But she's good. Everything's
Yes.
good with wifey.
Oh, incredible.
Is she
Yeah.
upset
Oh, my
about you
God.
fighting? Has that ever been an issue, or she supports that?
Oh my God. Are things good with her? Oh, believe me. Every day. Have you seen this girl as a bomb rocket? Yes. Bomb rocket. Yes. She had a birthday not that long ago, and we celebrated. It was like 11 o'clock at night. The kids were in bed.
11?
Dawn, she's 32 years old. I ran into the bedroom. I said, "You are 32." I couldn't believe I was married to this old woman.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Don't remind me." I don't know why, but in my mind, she was still like 26 or something. Yeah. Has that happened to you yet? Hey, my dad, I used to ask him, "Hey, how old are you?" And he'd have to stop and think. I'm like, what an act. What an act that you have to, I got to stop and do the math. And I graduated for, like, but you do. You forget this birthday. I thought I was 48. It turned out I was 47. It was this great day.
amazing. That's
Yes,
awesome.
gotta
Yeah,
hear that.
yeah,
Great
yeah,
day.
He had the opposite. I remember
Oh
telling
yeah,
me.
I aged 2 years in one day. What happened? I was 26 when I was 28.
He was telling me he was 26. I'm like, you're
No,
older than me.
no,
What the fuck you
On
talking
the
about?
birthday, I thought I was like, oh, I'm 26, and then on the birthday where I was going to turn 27, I turned 28.
Oh.
They were at the birthday party. They were saying
Yeah.
happy birthday. What does it feel like to be 28? I was like, I'll tell you next year.
How would I know?
Yeah.
Oh my God. And now, and 28, of course, feels so young now.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
I
yeah.
know. I know
Yes.
what you mean.
Okay, but
I know
she's
what you
great.
mean.
Brittany's great.
She's wonderful. Yeah,
And
she's
she's
great.
upset you're fighting or no?
No, she's going. She's
She's going to go.
Yeah.
You're going to let her go to the slums of...
Sao Paulo, Brazil, taking my kids and everything. My son, 8 years old, is cornering me.
No way.
Yes. Brittany's father will be the head corner man, but my son will like carry the bucket, and he's excited about it.
Wait a minute.
This is nuts to me.
What if
Yeah.
you really hurt Anderson?
Yeah.
Like your
Well,
kid is going to see that.
you
like
kill
you
a guy.
concuss it.
Yeah,
He's
he's
traumatized.
watched. He wasn't alive when we fought the first time, but he's watched it a million times, and his classmates have watched it, and he's seen it on YouTube. And
Okay.
he like it feels very new to him. He doesn't look at it and go, "Hey, what are you guys doing? This is weird. What are you guys doing?"
Yeah.
He doesn't look at it like that. He's like, "Yeah, we got to box Anderson. We got to get ready for him, and you got to lead that hand, and you got a good uppercut." He dips right into it, and I don't know if any of those things are true, but he's
That's
watched
awesome.
enough Rocky
That's
that he's
awesome.
saying those words. It's very fun.
That's
right. I
fucking
mean, there
great.
will be a day that we will look back on that.
Yeah, if your
memory.
kid loves
And
what
yeah.
you do,
It'll be
that's
great.
got to be so awesome.
Yeah,
Do
it
you
is very nice.
knock out Anderson Silva in your third fight?
I would not predict that. I am not going out there strategically to knock him
We
out.
can't bet on this thing, right?
Yeah.
It's not even really
think you
sanctioned.
can- it is
It's at some
sanctioned.
billionaire's house.
They brought the commission in.
Okay, so
they
you can't
got
bet
the
on it.
commission to say, and the commission operates, at least in America, off of 6% of the gate. So when you're not doing a gate, I don't quite know how that works, but no, they did not want the word exhibition tied to this. It was important.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, somewhere that even for his own buddies. They just did not want that. Anyway, they brought, we got to weigh in and we got the whole bit.
But they didn't bring the drug commission in.
They could test you there, but they have to test you there, is my point. It's the random test that could get a guy in a jam.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the surprise test. Otherwise, if you know what you're doing, particularly if you're on pharmaceutical grade, you also have a pretty good idea when it's out of your system. The benefits will remain, but it's out of your system.
Okay. Has Ryan Garcia exposed that it doesn't really matter if you don't make weight? It doesn't really matter if you're on the juice. If you put on an amazing performance and you muddy the waters with enough unbelievably entertaining buildup.
It was amazing.
It was like,
I mean, I am so
it's a jinx.
fascinated. Yeah, this has never happened. Like the public has not changed. Like the public has loosened on marijuana, for example.
Yeah.
The public has loosened on street drugs, for example. They have not loosened
On PDs.
No, not at all. And particularly
Feels
in combat,
dishonest.
where you can hurt somebody.
Yeah.
Like particularly in that. He is suffering, and I do mean nothing. And one of the things that's unique is the commission, in fact, it was the New York Commission, has not suspended him. Generally, every announcement that we get would come from the commission that says we have a negative assay. Here's this, and it's put right in the press release, the exact date, along with the address and the room number of where his arbitration will be held. And until this is resolved, his license is hereby suspended. That has never happened. This was done by VADA. We found out from Devin Haney, who would have been a sore loser, that it happened. We didn't even believe it. It got confirmed by Ryan Garcia. I mean, like this, it's never been done like this. And the public, when there was no suspension, they just seemed to not care.
I don't even know if it was no suspension. It was him leaning into everything and muddying the waters. Like, there's never been clarity about what's happening in this fight. He comes overweight, and he was like, I planned it the whole time. Hell yeah, I'm overweight. And I'm hydrating back up to whatever. You're like, wait, is he overweight? Was this plan? Did he try to make, what is, you didn't even know if he was going to show up on fight day. It was so genius the way that every bit of information about this fight that was in the promo was either true or false, and you had no clue. It was just entertaining. So now every piece of information about the fight afterwards, you're like, is it true or false? I don't care.
Unpredictable.
I've been
Unpredictable. And when you're unpredictable, you can't keep your eyes off him.
Yep. I didn't know what to make of it either. He's never been a great troll. He's never been great at
This is
media.
brand
going
new.
back. This is all new.
Yeah, he tried to be a face. I remember watching the Tank Showtime series, and I was like, it just seems phony. He's trying to be like this great guy, praying at the... And then it just completely 180'd, and it was way more captivating.
And he's got nobody helping him. Like he didn't get
That's
some
what I
Hollywood
was
writer
asking.
that he bumped into. That happened to me one time. I was at a Starbucks and I met a guy that introduced himself and said, I used to write for the WWE.
Yeah.
I thought, and he started helping me with some bits of material. I mean, it's like one of these things. Garcia doesn't have that. He went out in business completely for himself. He looked like a total fool. It all worked out.
Yeah.
I mean, it is so brilliant. I love what you said about muddying the waters. I also don't know what the reality is.
And I think we get this like exhaustion when we don't know what is. This is just with media in general. When we don't know what is true or false, we just kind of remove ourselves. Like, that's the beauty of the fake news thing. Once you say fake news and it's confirmed, we're like, oh, so nothing's really real? I'm not going to read a whole fucking article if this is going to end up being fake. And then you just kind of create a little bit of separation from it. And now you don't care as much what is true or false. Did he use the Ostarine or whatever? Did he not? What is Ostarine even for?
Yep.
What is it for? Because
like
maybe it's the type
It's
of...
a chick steroid.
Yeah.
Basically, I mean, you know more.
Yeah, well, the guys that test positive for, there's another one, Anderson, by the way, but the guys that test positive for that generally are taking a banned substance that was tainted with that. Like, they weren't actually set out to take that. I'll use John Jones just because it's a name that, not to pick on John, but when he got hit on the
why would you do that? Why would you take it?
To defend him, you would have to go to a museum to find what they found in his system.
Really?
There is no chance that he meant to take that. He did a lie detector test. It's like, for sure he could pass that. He did not mean to take that. Now, Victor Conte speculated on the Joe Rogan program that he was taking a banned substance, but it was tainted with that one. And
sorry, just real quick. Does tainted mean that he's taking a concoction that has a piece of it in it? And this is quite
on
common.
accident, though. That's the tainted part. Okay, so when something comes from China, a lot of times they will reuse a used bottle.
And so there's some that's in the
yeah. So they have a used bottle that once upon a time had ostrich in it, but it's empty. There's nothing in there.
Yeah.
But there actually is.
There's
if
a
you have really good
picogram.
test. Yeah, that's right. So they come in and they insert the whatever.
Yeah.
You're taking the whatever. And most of the good stuff actually comes from China, like some of the great growth hormones and whatnot. And by the way, I kind of now want to disassociate John. Like he didn't do that. I was just using his name as an example where that's one of the big guesses. When you have some of those really weird ones, then you get guys that are innocent. Yoel Romero turned out to completely innocent. Actually sued the company that sold him like his protein powder or whatever that had a banned substance that they didn't put on the label. He won $40 million.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean they went up, but they did not pay. He bankrupted a company though.
Did they?
Because he was so innocent.
no, they didn't pay.
No, they were. I couldn't even tell you the name of the company. They were gone.
Does that do anything? Does it have
Yes.
any positive like?
Yes, it would. I mean, it would be bigger, stronger, faster, just like all
so it is a
alcoholic.
steroid.
But
Also,
it's just not a good.
The way that I was,
this is better.
The way that I was, it was described to me was it basically gives you those positive effects, but then with the old steroids, with those positive effects, the bigger, faster, stronger, you would also have these negative physical characteristics that would start.
Tits.
Yeah, you'd get the tits,
gyno.
you'd get the gyno, you'd get the
Estrogen,
balls, whatever. So with Austrian, my understanding was that it did something to offset the negative physical characteristics, and that's why I think it was safe for chicks to take it for competitions because they wouldn't grow schlongs or whatever,
tits,
and hair and facial. Yeah.
And a lot of times that they find the Austrians, the drug collectors believe that, okay, we missed what you were really using, but you used this as a cover. We caught the cover.
And
which means you must have been doing something else, even though we didn't find the something else. Which again, it's speculation, but Austrian pops up a lot. Yeah, it pops.
Okay,
up
so
quite
is this the way? One, I mean, Ryan can sell any fight now, and he's. I wonder, what do you say?
I mean, I think you only have one way to do this. What he did, like, if he does this again and he's crazy again in a year, I think we're gonna be like, all right.
Okay, I wonder if he has become fluent in media attention.
Yeah, if you do it twice, then it's like, oh.
Yeah.
Sure.
In other words, he, this happens with comedy, it happens with learning a language, it happens with fighting, I'm sure. It's like you eventually learn enough that you have a fluency in it. You know when you do turn it on whenever you want, you can turn it on. And
or when you take and you twist it to another direction. Yeah, I know what you mean.
And I wonder if he's like, oh, now I know how to promote fights. And it doesn't have to be done in this exact same way. Right. Maybe he could be sad boy next time. Guys, I feel so sad. I don't want to kill myself. I don't even know if I'm going to make it there. Like, and now we're just like, what the fuck is going on? What is he saying? Is he now fluent in media? And can he sell any fucking
and that would go back to your point of being unpredictable.
Yeah.
Like once you have the audience, you have the audience. And the hardest thing is to get them. You're going to stop what they're doing. Okay, something's happening here.
Yeah.
But once you have him, and he does, I would imagine the Devin Haney rematch is the biggest fight, right? Isn't that
I don't care
likely?
for that.
The
Yeah.
direction? Really? No?
I think Tank I'd be kind of interested in.
I want to see
In a
Tank
rematch, okay.
with and he has to lean into the rehydration clause. He has to make Tank's victory all about the fact that he was drained.
Sure.
And well, who am I to tell him what to do? Do whatever the fuck you want. But
in your opinion.
yeah, like because you could create this little seed of doubt in the audience's mind. Oh, maybe it was the rehydration. When he came in 3 pounds overweight against Haney, he dominated him. Holy shit, what if that same thing could happen with Tank? And I think that's Tank's biggest money fight. Like if I'm Tank and I already beat this guy, and you're telling me I can make 5x by fighting him again, even at a heavier weight?
Yep.
No brainer.
Yeah. I agree with that. Why was Tank not on an Olympic team? I mean, who kept him off? Or Ryan Garcia? Why were they?
Well, I think Ryan tried, right?
Did
And then he decided to go pro.
Okay.
And then
Did
Tank,
he lose the box off, or he just decided to go pro?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure. But he had like a big amateur career. But and then I wonder if Tank was just like scooped up by the Mayweathers. And they were like, yo, why are you wasting your time? Why are you wasting like prime years when you could be fighting for real money?
And that might be what I'm asking. Is that how boxers look at it? Do they not hold the Olympics as coveted as
Not
they used to?
It used to be your best promotional tool. Remember when
Floyd, Roy, Golden Boy, all of them.
Sugar Ray Leonard,
Sure.
right? Like these guys would go, and then Roy Jones getting robbed in Korea.
Robbed. They robbed. The Korean apologized on the stand.
Isn't that crazy?
On the stand, he told him, I am sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think sports where you can make a lot of money here, we don't take the Olympics seriously. Because
serious.
even in basketball, like
That's a great point. But if over there you can't really make that
An
much
American
money
hasn't
going pro,
won a boxing gold since '76.
Yeah,
Or no,
especially
84,
once you can cast into doubt that it's gonna be legit. I'm gonna beat this guy's ass and still maybe lose. Why am I putting my health on the line when I could just go make money?
Yeah. I mean, what's it called? DeAndre,
2016.
the Bronze Bomber. DeAndre.
Oh yeah,
Wilder, he won
Deontay,
bronze,
yeah.
and he still put it in his name.
Yeah.
You're right. I was
Yeah.
reading one weight class. You're right, actually. There were more Americans that have won it more recently.
Yeah.
Deontay Wilder, apparently.
Yeah, Deontay, not down.
Very like a kind of a frightening looking guy. He's got that look, you know, kind of like a rough guy look. Apparently, went and did, I think it's called DMT, but it's something that's out there, and it sends you, kind of reprograms your mind. He did that and is no longer the mean, no longer has everything that made him. Yeah, he went and did a boxing match, in fact, and it was bad.
Yeah, he fought Joseph Parker, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
and
looked
Joseph,
out of shape or maybe undermotivated.
But Joseph is also like a sharp guy. He's a good fighter.
DMT is the opposite of whatever a steroid is.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of performance.
But I love that for a fighter once they made their money. I love that you had 8.8 million allegedly in a fight, got out, you made your money. Now you're doing this, you're healthy. I love that for Deontay. I took enough brain punishment. Now I'm on the DMT.
But now he's going to fight.
Better path.
They can't let it go.
Yeah.
They fucking
that.
need it.
You need more ayahuasca.
I thought maybe that one fight where he got his ass beat would be a wake-up call.
Yeah.
But I
feel
feel
like they have to suspend Garcia, because if they don't and they let him fight again, now every fighter can be like, yo, he did it.
Well, you only suspend him if he actually did violate it. And if the New York State Athletic Commission hasn't said anything, did he violate it?
That's where it gets interesting. And he popped under VADA, the voluntary anti-doping agency. So these two guys agreed to subject themselves to something that they didn't need to, but they don't have any adjudication power. None.
All
VADA
they can do
doesn't.
is just say he
what
popped.
happened.
Yeah. No, but that's enough for other places. Like if USADA would hit you and you fought Nevada would bring you in and suspend you under it. I mean, like there was things that could happen, but it hasn't happened yet. And the week that this happened, I actually called the executive director, Kim Sumbler, very, very good director, by the way. She resigned. No relation, but she was done. So then there wasn't even a new one in place to speak to. The one day that I pursued it, I dropped it. I mean, this is my own story, but New York hasn't suspended him. He technically could take a fight and might against Jake Paul in Texas, if that comes about.
Wow. All right, guys, I'm going to take a break for a second because I need to tell you about Symbiotica. Listen, y'all know I dump too frequently, okay? I thought it was the perfect amount. I'm like, I'm eating 3 meals a day. I should at least take 3 to 5 dumps a day. Turns out that's not how many you're supposed to take. And gut health is going to be the thing that gives you the solution to your problem. And by you, I mean me. I need to look after my gut health. Something was going on over there, and Symbiotica has my back. Symbiotica is changing up my gut, and Symbiotica is going to save me tens of dollars on toilet paper. There are endless positive outcomes with Symbiotica. Now, I started taking Symbiotica because obviously my goal. As I'm getting older, my shits are not as good as they used to be, and I wanted to change that. So I started taking their activated charcoal and their probiotic, and it's been absolutely incredible. My bowels, I don't even want to say my bowels are back because they've never been. My bowels are normal, okay? It's nice to have normal bowels. My wife is getting way more time with me. I have to find a way to fake poops. I have to fake poops now. Symbiotica has made me have to fake poops. I have to pretend I'm pooping, go in the bathroom, scroll Instagram for an hour, whatever I used to do, so that I can still get that me time, okay? Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. You should. Also, Symbiotica, by the way, is one of the only companies that uses no seed oils, no preservatives, no toxins, okay? So you can keep your natural supplements as natural as they can be. So whatever your health issues are, it's worth heading over to www.symbiotica.com. That is CYMBIOTIKA.com and seeing what they can do for you. Plus, if you use the code FLAGRANT at checkout, you will get 20% off your purchase, and they're going to give you free shipping as well. Again, that is CYMBIOTIKA.com. Promo code FLAGRANT for 20% off your order and free shipping. Now let's get back to the show. All right, guys, let's take a break for a second. Let's talk about something important. If you are injured by the negligence of another, you deserve to be paid. Life can be crazy sometimes, and one person's negligence can result in another person's settlement. If you're in an accident, not calling a lawyer means you could be leaving money on the table, and when you're seriously hurt, your injury could be worth millions of dollars. Okay, if you're ever injured, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. I'm telling you right now, Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. They have over 100 offices nationwide and more than 1,000 lawyers with over $20 billion recovered. That is billion dollars recovered for over 500,000 clients. Morgan & Morgan has a proven track record of fighting to get you full and fair compensation. Getting injured because of someone else's negligence is hard to go through, but luckily submitting an injury claim with Morgan & Morgan is easy. It's as easy as using an app. I know it sounds crazy, but that's how they have developed it. I'm telling you, it is that simple. You just go to Morgan & Morgan, okay? You go to their website, which is forthepeople.com/flagrant, or dial pound law. That is pound 529 from your cell phone. That is forthepeople.com/flagrant, or pound law, pound 529 from your cell. This is a paid advertisement just to let you know Morgan & Morgan is going to take care of you. Now let's get back to the show. While we're on boxing, did you watch Fury Usyk?
Yes.
Thoughts?
Well, I didn't know that Usyk was that good, quite frankly. I mean, I really thought some of that was for show, but the way he went out there and represented his country, I had discussed and got a lot of heat for it. I had just discussed if these two guys, and I did 30 days before the fight, these two guys go the distance, the judges are going to give it to Usyk on the mere fact that his country is at war. And I got a lot of trouble. Tyson Fury said the moment the fight ended. The moment it ended,
he watches Bad Guy Inc., man.
Yeah, well, you know, I don't know if they were related, but he took a lot of heat for it. And it's like, well, you could be mad at him and it might be an insensitive statement. I think he's right. I really do. I think that the judges are going to go, no, I didn't. I think he's right in that. Had they gone a decision, it's likely to go against him. But no, I thought he lost.
Yeah, I thought he lost.
Yeah.
I'm concerned. Like, I thought Tyson was the greatest heavyweight boxer in history.
Yeah.
And, like, I've really followed boxing. Like, I've tried to do the math of who could potentially beat him. Yeah. And when he was in his heyday, I don't know. After the Ngannou fight and this fight, I don't know if we're witnessing him not taking it seriously anymore, or just the end of a very long career at the toughest division.
Sure.
Because Usyk just outboxed him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, usually Tyson with a much smaller guy can keep him at distance. He's bouncing around. He's hurting him when he needs to. He hurt Usyk maybe a couple times, but Usyk was relentless and just outsmarted him in the ring. Like, he was hitting him with these like straight lefts to the body. And if you notice, it would open up that looping left upstairs, and that's what fucking dropped Fury. And like, Fury saw it. He started to kind of like lock his right hand by the jaw, but the second he got lazy, he gets clipped. And I'm watching this and I'm like, oh my God. One, I see how legacies die, right? Because if you just watch these last two fights, you'll go, oh, there was no way Tyson was the greatest heavyweight boxer of all time. But if you saw him at his fucking heyday, you'd go, there's no human being on planet Earth that could ever beat this guy. So is this what we remember him by?
And that was a great analysis, by the way, and I totally co-sign that. Like, I also think of him that same way. Like, okay, who's going to beat Tyson? Somebody that can knock him out. But when you see him sit up and get up, it's like, no, I don't believe that Tyson and some of these big punchers, even George Foreman, who might be the hardest puncher, could knock him out. It is different. By the way, we're speaking of the Olympics. Didn't Usyk win the gold in 2016? Wasn't he an Olympic champion for his country? And I know Fury went down that path. Didn't make the Olympic team, but when you talk about he's not as sharp, or maybe he's not taking these quite as serious, I would agree that could be part of it. However, he is still hanging in there. 12 rounds, 36 minutes when you're getting beat up. Like, he has the heart.
He is unbelievable.
Yeah, and to have that conditioning, to be able to hold up, like, you had to have done that in the gym, and you can't. If you're not still there and you're not still motivated, you're not the eye of the tiger, you can't put that time in the gym. Like, the two just don't work out. And I don't know. I just feel like Fury didn't get credit for the Francis fight. I mean, he found himself in a competition way harder than he thought it was going to be. And that is where guys unfold. And he stood in there for 30 minutes and tried to figure out a way to win.
He's unbelievably courageous, and he's brave, and he is tough. That guy's tough as fucking nails.
Was it a strategic failure, or was it a skill disparity?
I thought it was it looked like age caught up a little. And you can mitigate age a little bit by like really training and really strategizing. Mitigate it a little bit. But it felt like he was going out there doing what he's done for the last 30 years, probably boxing since he's 6, but he was just a little slower. And he was going up against a guy who's also his age, by the way, that just hadn't really slowed.
Less miles for Ngannou.
For Usyk. Yeah, but I guess Ngannou too. But but yeah, it just felt like, and keep in mind, like Usyk's been in there with guys and gotten hit. Like Usyk was fighting at cruiserweight before?
Yep.
So it's not like he was going against like slow plotting. Like he was going against guys who could fucking crack. It's just kind of like a weird division. But yeah, it just felt like he had slowed down a little bit. And in boxing, you always see these guys. When they slow down a tiny bit, especially guys who are like evading punches with great head movement. And Tyson's one of those guys. He's fucking 6'9" or whatever, but he can move his head.
Yeah.
Second, it takes a little bit longer.
Yep.
You die. Yeah.
He, our whole life we've been told about size advantage, but we've never really seen size be an advantage. We've seen it be a disadvantage. And so many times in the sport, we see the guy move up. Muhammad Ali in his prime at heavyweight was 198 pounds. Mike Tyson in his prime was 220 pounds. Mike literally never had a longer arm. They talk about reach of it. Never had a longer arm or a pound on an opponent, just for example. But Roy Jones moved up, took on a guy named Ruiz. And even Roy's dad didn't want it to happen. I remember what he said. He said, it's a Volvo versus a Mac shot.
I believe,
Yep, I do not want my son to do this.
I watched that.
Roy beat him every
amazing.
which way. And then Evander Holyfield was a smaller guy, and he moved up. And I'm only sharing with you, like, these cruiserweights really do learn how to fight and really do learn how to move. And I just felt like Usyk, he doesn't have the body for it. I completely misjudged him. I made fun of his voice. I mean, there was a lot of things where I didn't really see it, and I go, man, that guy, what a fighter. What a fighter.
And he got cracked.
Yes, it was a hard match. And he found a way.
He got a big uppercut from, like, Fury caught him going in. And because he fights in that like traditional like Russian style, where they it's Soviets. I don't know what the fuck you would call it, but there's just a lot of side to side head movement. But Fury timed him, caught him with this uppercut, and he like stepped back, and you can even hear him go, "Ooh." It's never a great sound from a guy after just getting cracked. But he was able to hold it in.
And Fury didn't go after him after that.
I thought he didn't know that he hurt him. Or he was like tired and just maybe was being more methodical. Yeah,
he had him stunned. If he would have kept on him,
he could have put the pressure on him.
Yeah, I think he could have took him out.
Yeah,
he says he wants the rematch. By the way,
they signed it up. I thought.
Yeah, I mean the
they're
fact
gonna do it
that,
again.
Oh, they've already signed it.
I saw a flyer.
He had the rematch clause, but they have those all the time and they don't activate them.
Why?
Yeah. But
in fight sports, I notice is a lot. There's always one ref that seems blind. Like the way they score, a judge. Sorry, the way they score it is just so completely off.
That's a good
from
question.
what
Why do you
everybody.
think that happens?
Well, I do not know why that happens. I will tell you my bigger frustration is why when that happens, there is never a discussion. There is never a meeting. Like if a fighter does anything, we get licensed by the same body. The administrators they get their licenses by the same body. We get called in.
Yeah.
We got to get lawyers and we got to defend ourselves and we've got to explain. And the commission is generally pretty open to hearing you. The commission is generally pretty nice to fighters, but they still make them go through the process.
Yeah.
Why would you not bring a judge in and say, every judge had this unanimous, you had it vastly different. Could we look at round 3, for example? What is it that you saw? And if that judge has an answer, I think we could all learn something and we could also live with it. But the mere fact that they are never questioned, a fighter has to come in publicly, can have his whole career, but a judge, when you're getting a license from the same person, I know I keep repeating that, but it's very relevant. The attorney general's the one giving everybody their license.
I mean,
it would seem as though you treat them the same.
There's a fighter that came in and gave an absolutely horrible performance. Let's just say like awful, couldn't keep their hands up, looked like slow and plotting. I would imagine that at least the promotion would do an investigation on them and be like, hey, are you okay?
Sure.
You weren't performing like you usually perform. Is there something wrong? Are you unhealthy? Did the weight drain affect you? There's not even any of that with the judges.
Yeah. When you have the fighter that won saying I did not, I mean, when that happens, I think you have a real problem on it. I'll give you a great example.
Yeah, who's that?
Well, what they were getting ready to do in Nevada, and it took no investigation. Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor. Floyd There was 9 seconds left in the first round when he took a hand and moved it in a forward direction. Gave the round away. But then he kept giving rounds away. And he explained it later. I was feeling him out. I was tiring him out. I had a strategy. So therefore, I gave the rounds away. Well, not according to the judges. According to the judges, you won them all.
Oh, really?
Floyd. And those judges were getting ready to rob Conor. I watched that side by side with Teddy Atlas, one of the most respected minds.
Of course.
And Teddy had 4 rounds for McGregor when they were going into the 10th, which ended up being the final.
Yep.
And everybody did. Some people had 5 for McGregor, and I'm just saying, not the Nevada State Athletic Commission. I mean, they were getting ready to rob McGregor, and because it ended correctly with a TKO and we never got there, we therefore never went
had
back
a
and looked at those.
conversation about
Yeah,
it.
but they're still turned in. Those sheets are still turned. They're still public information.
Wow. Yeah.
And on Bob Bennett's watch, there was nothing to see here, folks.
I can't believe
Never
there's more
was.
outrage because there's like so many people bet on combat sports. Like there should be so much outrage about it.
Like afterwards, if you look at a tape, could you get an objective measure of what the scoring should have been? Like, or is it still too nebulous just based off the way fighting goes?
Is there like an AI
That's
system?
interesting.
Like with baseball, for example. Like
Could be
Miles and I-
sometime, right?
Miles and I were talking about this. Like umpires will get like awards and shit after like seasons or after specific games if they have a perfect scoring game. They never missed a pitch. Every single pitch that they called was exactly what it was: strike, ball. And I wonder if you could do the same thing.
So they do this with Olympic boxing, where they've done 2 things. They've tried to take like the brutality out of the sport a little bit and made it more of like a point
Points
system.
thing.
Yeah. And the problem is you get the same amount of points for hitting a guy hard and soft. And we know in judging around,
changes the game.
hitting a guy hard once is probably better than hitting them soft 15 times. Like if I crack you once,
Damage, right?
damage. So it's like it's a very hard thing to do with a point system. But once you add the point system in, it changes the way the fighters fight. There are a lot of guys who are like Olympic style fighters who are really good at that style, and then they go into the pros and they don't have these great careers.
Interesting.
They had
Yeah.
a Cuban's a 3-time gold medalist at heavyweight. He is amazing. And no, he might not even go into the pros.
There's a
Because that style doesn't train just to your point.
Yeah, a lot of the Cuban guys, they have this incredible, I mean, they're like some of the most beautiful boxers. They're just the way that they move, it's incredible. But when they go in there with a tough, in-your-face Mexican brawler who's not going to let them dance around and not going to care if he gets hit with a couple little pawed jabs.
What if you put a device in the gloves?
They've
That's
talked about
what they
that.
do. Yeah.
Do they do that?
Well, so they've done it with some tech, but what they do is, what do they have? They have like 5 judges and they count punches.
Yep.
And if 3 of them agree that it's a punch, it's a punch. Or if 3 or more. So that's how they count if it's.
but if you actually had a machine in the gloves, that it would be like, oh, this strike was for this many. You know.
But what happens if that hits the glove?
That was the problem. They presented it and they're like, it's a foreign object. It's a foreign, like we want to go with you, but that's a foreign object. You know, what do we do about this? And
Like if it hits the other person's glove. But then if the 2 chips meet, then it doesn't count.
And then what happens if you have a malfunction? Do you have to
The chip
rely on it?
breaks.
Is it just a backup? Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah, you might remember in Olympic gloves, the part of it is white.
Yeah.
That part must touch a certain part of the body, and if it does, it's a punch.
Right.
And so, I mean, just to Andrew's point, like damage in the pros is number one, but in the amateur, it does not matter how hard or if it's just a flick.
Yeah.
If it touches you, it's supposed to get a point. Which can just confuse it, where sometimes that doesn't carry over. Sometimes it doesn't translate.
Sports with judges kind of bug me. Like, you know what I mean? You watch gymnastics or like something like that, or figure skating, you're like, this is an awesome sport, but the fact that it's so subjective is bothersome.
Most
Again,
unfair thing in the world.
Right, and a lot of sports are subjective, right? Like this calls in, this calls out, but like you see it like leave someone's fingers, the clock is still running, and it goes in the hoop. That's
I
the
think
game.
we watch sports for conquest, and none more so than fighting. So if you're taking the ultimate conquest sport and then you're putting judges in it, where it suddenly becomes a gray area,
it's
I think that's the
simultaneously
most
so
infuriating
objective
thing.
and so subjective at the same time.
Yeah.
Somebody
it's
steals a joke. Does that make you mad? They steal your
Infuriating.
joke.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that? Why is that?
All we have is our IP.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, there's other things that make you a great comedian, but the foundation of everything is your brain coming up with that idea, writing that idea.
Okay.
We don't like the ghost writing type shit with like rappers. For me, it's like, how do you ever forgive that? Because to me, the foundational aspect of a comedian is his brain and his idea. And
Now-
if it's not yours,
That's unanimous. I've never heard anybody accept what you said. So
Now, I will say there are times where somebody might have an idea that you've had,
yeah,
but they
of
didn't
course.
steal it.
Yes, of course.
That is not. I mean, it's frustrating because you're like, damn, man, like I worked on this joke for so long, and then this guy kind of has something similar to it. But when you know someone like saw you, and then they're going to do the joke, That can be.
Yeah.
And
Or
what
if it's
about
so
for
And
you?
we've
though?
all gotten sensitive and overreacted to somebody having, and then you have to sit back and go, you know what? There's more than one person is going to have this idea.
What about you though? Like you must get inspired by somebody. So then is your inspiration, like what's the rule there? What is the rule there where it's an idea, but it's not the same words? I'm just wondering.
Yeah,
I mean, everybody can joke around about Trump.
Yeah.
Like somebody saying something about Trump doesn't mean it's like their thing. You know what I mean? You can do a Trump impression, and there can be someone else who does a Trump impression.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean there's like stealing. But I think it's different with like if you're talking about a specific thing about your life.
Sure.
Yeah, and jokes have also pieces. You have like setup, punchline, tags, and then multiple setup, punchline, tags will make a chunk. And if someone has a different, setup, but maybe a similar kind of punchline, you're like, all right, it might be a different joke. Or if it's a similar setup and different punchlines, you're like, all right, it's a different joke.
Yeah.
So you can hear someone do a setup and be like, oh, I might go someplace different with this. And it's
Marriage is hard. A million different ways to go.
What is that?
Yeah.
That's a theme, though. I was talking
Exactly.
like a straight inspiration. Like in fighting, I've never created a move. I've stolen them all from somebody else.
Sorry to interrupt.
I thought it was honorable.
As an analyst, you have very unique takes. Your takes make you great at this. Now, if you suddenly saw somebody absolutely believe it, and if you saw somebody suddenly using your takes and getting notoriety, you'd be driven fucking crazy. Like these are my that's what makes me great at this.
What if someone was out there calling himself the bad guy?
Yep.
the Bad Man Inc.
Well,
And
I
every
hear
week-
you on that.
Yeah.
Every week,
Yeah.
the same take you had just a couple hours later.
Well, that's a great
if they
point.
say
I
I
never
saw
thought
this
about
fighter
it
feed a
that way.
carrot to a minivan or whatever.
Yeah.
And then
You know what I mean?
Sure.
the internet's going crazy.
And
Like,
maybe
this
he's not
is
as
the funniest
handsome
thing
or not as
ever.
strong, but people still
Maybe
watch
wife's
stuff.
not as hot.
And
but-
Definitely. Way ugly.
But what if that happened and then I go, hey, wait a minute, that's my, and I go look at the guy and he's got like a homage paid to me on his Twitter page, like, hey, this is my favorite fighter and therefore I'm copying his ideas.
that does change things a bit. Yeah.
Okay, and what if you got this idea and you're like, hey man, it's basically what you said and I loved it. I've changed it just a little bit. What if you call the guy?
And that's it. There's ways to do it that are like we talk it out. There's honorable. A girl DM'd me recently, and I have to watch the bit, but she was like, "Hey, I put this bit up. You have a similar joke in your special. Do you want me to take out the line? There's one line that's exactly like your whatever." I have to watch the bit, but it's like, oh, I respect off rip that she hit me up. And out of that respect, I might say, just leave it up, dude. I appreciate you reaching out. I have to watch the thing. and
It's a
see,
girl?
like, yeah.
I used an Aziz joke one time.
Used an Aziz joke?
Yes, but to pay a respect. I love.
What was
God,
the
he
joke?
was so funny. I watched all of his stuff. He was with this girl, and the girl's like, "Oh man, I love those
like
thoughts."
red wine.
It's like we teleported to something, and he's like, "And by the way, teleportation doesn't exist yet. You must be kind of stupid." I mean, real simple joke, but I loved. Oh my God, that is so funny. You know, it was just this great thing. It has something to do with bed sheets and something else. But I did that with the teleportation, and it did get to him, and he did respond to it, and he did not take it as a
An homage.
nice thing. But I also didn't have an ability to tell him. I didn't have an ability to go, no, wait a minute. I ripped that off. I admit I ripped it, but I was trying to pay respect for you. Like,
Did
you were
you
kind of up
say
and coming.
it?
I watch all of your stuff. It's a great bit.
Did you say it while you were saying the joke?
I did the joke. I mean, it's a little bit different words, but I used the teleportation hasn't been invented yet.
Yeah.
You must be kind of stupid. I used the punchline, and I never paid it off. Hey, by the way, that's Aziz. But he wasn't really known yet. I had discovered him. So then when I had to meet the opportunity,
So it's even worse.
What,
Yeah,
a,
that
great,
bothers me
what a
more.
great way to make friends with the guy.
You gave him
That's
an
what I
opportunity.
thought.
You were helping.
If you
yeah,
caught
yeah.
Aziz, massive Aziz, friends with Kanye, friends with Jay-Z, he might not care as much. But when it's like, dog, I'm trying to make it in this business. I have nothing right now, and you're getting notoriety for this thing that's mine.
Yeah.
And people are going to think it's yours if I do it, quite
And
possibly.
you're getting paid $12
It's a
million for
whole
a
different
fight.
thing. Yeah.
That would change things.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's all, you got to look at the actual situation.
Who do you think takes your stuff when it comes to analysis of the fight game?
Well, I didn't have anybody
Who's
take.
influenced by you? Who do you hate?
Pour your bait.
No one.
Yeah,
I've
let's
always
start
taken
some
it- yeah.
beef.
I've always taken it as a compliment, but
Who's the worst at the
pro
fight game?
wrestling
What do you think?
in terms of an analysis?
Yeah. Who's just the worst?
Oh, my goodness, the worst. I mean, I hear some very bad reviews out there, and if I was to be real fair on who the worst was, it's a drunk guy. He gets drunk during the show. He's got gray hair, and he's in boxing, and he just simply should not be there. I want to call him Harold Letterman, but I don't know that that's right. I don't want to do that to Harold.
Sure, Harold.
Whoever this guy was, he was interviewing Floyd one day and said, if I was 30 years younger, if you remember that guy.
No, that's not Harold. Harold.
Yeah.
Is that Jim Lampley or the
No.
other-
It was. Oh God, fuck.
Dana
I
White was
can't-
just talking about this on
I can't believe I'm
Lex
forgetting this.
podcast.
Oh God.
Jim got drunk into some beat a woman thing, and he was innocent and he kept his mouth. I don't know Jim Lampley, but I'm going to tell you this one thing about people that know him say he is such an honorable guy. It was like an ex-wife did something to him, turned out to be totally untrue, and be cut, and they had the kids or what. And he, to this day, took it on the chin, and it was not true.
Wow.
Yes. They kicked him off of HBO. They kicked him off.
I remember that
and
coming
he
out.
took it. He's still never told him about it. What I just told, this is the first time that'll come public. He's never defended himself, and neither has anybody else.
So what is he doing now?
Completely made up. He's been boxing. He served
Larry
his time.
Merchant.
He
Larry
came back.
Merchant.
Larry Merchant. Thank you. See, Harold Letterman did it. Harold Letterman's the fun guy. Actually, he comes in and gives the scores between rounds.
I've got it 6 rounds to 4.
Yes.
Oh,
Larry
Jim was great.
Merchant
He was in
simply
Creed.
doesn't
Jim was
know
great,
what
yeah.
he simply does not know what he's talking about.
Who? Larry Merchant. Larry Merchant.
He's
He's
93.
93. He's
But he
93.
does have a presence.
You're beefing with a 93-year-old.
Did you see?
Yeah, but
Beef.
You didn't like what he said to Floyd.
Yeah.
I didn't like that he did
If
that.
I was
to Floyd,
30 years
no.
younger, I would have whooped your
Yeah.
ass. No, you wouldn't have.
Jim Gray,
It's the
no,
greatest
you
boxer
simply
in
wouldn't
history.
He would have been 60.
Also, yeah, he would have been 50. Yeah, 10 years ago, whatever.
Jim Gray made like his comeuppance by asking athletes hard questions in the moment. Pete Rose, and I have some other things that come to mind. And I have a real problem with that because there was a trust. They had an absolute trust and agreed to the interview, and everything's cool in the gang. You know, all the, hey man, how are you? It's so good to see you. The camera goes on. He pulls the double cross to put himself over.
Yeah.
And I have a problem with that. If you light up the interview, go ahead. If you're working for ESPN and they light up the interview, they use their content. So you're now not getting burned. You're not burning your Rolodex.
Yeah.
You're burning them
Theirs.
to put yourself up. I thought it was underhanded. I really did.
Yeah, Jim Gray always seemed annoying. He always
That
seemed
is an
smarmy
interesting
little
take.
fuck.
Yeah, he did that to Pete Rose. You know, Pete agrees to this interview, and he turns it right into the gambling. Why couldn't you just say this, Pete? Why couldn't you just say you did it and you're sorry? But it was to put him, and Pete's kind of caught off guard, like whether he had an answer to that or not. That wasn't what this interview was about. They were supposed to discuss baseball, and I'm just saying that has always bothered me that Jim has done that and then taken a pride in it. It's a strange thing.
I think I've heard not great things about Jim as well, just like behind the camera.
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain.
Yeah. I mean, it's a cutthroat business. Yes,
Yeah.
he's done some stuff, but it is a.
But that is an interesting thing.
It is
It's
a tough business.
This person has trained 8 weeks for this fight, minimum, maybe 10 weeks. Maybe they've trained their entire life for this title match. They win.
Brain damage, probably.
Yeah, Brandon, they win, and then they're in their moment of peak celebration.
Yeah.
And then he asks you this question that's like this hard-hitting, almost gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah, I could see that as being kind of fucked up.
It is. I really think it is in that moment. And then intent matters too. And I could be reading Jim wrong, but it sure appears to me that he's asking those questions. He's got them banked, and they are designed to make him look like the tough question, the challenging, the this and that.
There's a cool moment in the Dana Lex Friedman podcast where he brings up that exact Larry Merchant moment, and he's like, I make sure the UFC commentators will never do any shit like that ever. Ever.
Dana has even taken heat. I think it's leadership when he does it, quite frankly. But he won't tell guys what they can't say at a press conference. If you want to look bad, but I'm not going to tell you what to say.
That's awesome.
But that's because if he tells them what not to say, he's telling them what to say, and now you have a scripted promo. Now you're in the WWE. It's the same thing. And I mean, it really is a bit of a leap by me, but I think you can see in that
by
direction.
telling people what not to say, you are telling them what to say.
And he's just not touching that. And that is not a political thing like people try to make it. It's not a mean thing or even a fight promotion thing. It's authentic, and this is what it is. Don't bring that crap in here. Don't bring your ideas and your anything.
Their reward system, like the UFC reward system, is quite brilliant. They give financial rewards to the type of fights that they like.
Yes.
That doesn't really exist in boxing, as far as I'm concerned. It's just get the win by any means necessary. But the UFC is like, even if you lose exciting, you're going to be back. And you're going to get a fight of the night bonus for losing exciting, right? So we will reward you for winning in exciting fashion. And then also the people that they end up giving fights to and continue promoting lead themselves in a certain way. So the other fighters don't need you to tell them what to do. Just watch. Look at the people you admire. Look at how they dress. Look how they talk. Look at the promos they're cutting. What are they doing on their own social media? Who are they meeting up with? What podcasts are they going on? It's so interesting when you don't really need to tell people to behave in any way. Just reward the behavior that you like.
Yeah. That's really clever.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Do you want to know a ticket? I'm switching out to politics, but do you want to know a ticket that I think would be hard to beat?
Talk to me.
Trump, Dana White.
Whoa.
Yeah, I think as they go on and do media, I've never seen anybody where they've tried to get you in gotcha moments, and there's nothing that like Dana White.
Who's president? Who's VP?
Well, that's a surprise. Trump would be one, and Dana would, yeah, and that would be
I think Dana would be.
He might be willing to be. They're homies.
Well, there's about 2 people in the world that he would admit that he and Trump just happens to be one of them.
Who's the other one?
The other one is Frank Fertitta, who died, senior. He also likes Frank the son, but Dana would have done what Frank Sr. told him to do, and I think that
he has a lot of respect for
would
Frank.
show a lot of respect to Donald Trump. Yeah.
That'd be, yeah. What is, I'm trying to think, what about that ticket?
And Dana also sees he and Trump as really good friends, and I believe Trump sees Dana more as like a son. Trump was very proud of Dana. That's not a word you get to use very often. He was actually proud of Dana for standing his ground, for coming up, for making this company, for coming, and would stay in touch with him. He would like write Dana a letter here or there.
Really?
Yeah, Dana made the front page of an article, and Trump took that. This is way back before he just builder here in New York.
Gave him a fight at UFC before UFC was big, and they couldn't
Taj
really
Mahal.
get sanctions fights anywhere.
Yep.
Yeah, at the Taj Mahal. Like
And came.
decade, 15, 20 years ago, whatever.
All 6 hours, and the Trump kids do that same damn thing. I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's political or what, but when they go to an event, everybody comes in right at the last minute, particularly the famous people.
Yeah.
The Trumps, and this includes the kids, come for the first fight, and
Get
they
out
do
of here.
not leave.
That's
Good
classy.
for them.
Yeah, 6.5 hours, and they
I
do
would
it
not do
all
that.
the time.
No, I would absolutely come to the main event.
Donald Trump came to the NCAA wrestling last year. I don't know what level of fan, and he came to the whole goddamn thing.
Wow.
That's a long
And
day.
he did not even look like he wanted to leave. It was just a nice thing to do, quite frankly. He got no press for that. Nobody even knew that he went there, the wrestlers. And I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's just a politeness or a fan. I'm just sharing that he does it when he comes to football games. When he shows, he does not leave. He stays till there's some
That's something,
etiquette.
yeah, UFC really locked in, which is if you go to boxing matches, and I'm a boxing guy. I come from like boxing background. But if you go to a boxing match, that place is empty until the headlining fight. UFC, you will go there. I try to get to every UFC event that I go to for the entire main event, which is what, maybe like 6 cards sometimes, 6 fights. How many is the
Main card is 5.
5? And then the like maybe 3 or 4 of the prelims. Like that's when I'm trying to get there. That place is packed when I walk in every single time.
Yep.
Packed.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Packed. And I think it goes to unpredictability.
Sure.
It's the same thing we're talking about with the star power. Any UFC fight could go any different way. And even if I don't know the guys' fucking names, it could go anyway. On those prelims in a boxing card that there's a tomato can versus a rising star. Every single one of them is supposed to go one way. And it's going to be an absolute dominant performance. So why do I even need to watch this shit? I don't need to see a guy that I don't even know dominate some tomato can.
Yeah,
Sure.
Also, boxing only like 2 things can happen, 3 things. Like, it's either a knockout, it's either like a TKO, it's either a decision, or like it's like that's basically it, right?
Yeah.
Whereas like with I don't know, like UFC or MMA or anything else, like you can have so many different ways that it could end. Like
Do you feel safer boxing?
Well, it's very
Kind of interesting, right? Like,
the gloves are bigger in some degree. On the other side, you're only allowed to bludgeon. There's nothing else that will happen. So even if maybe they're not as hard, or at least in theory, there'd be more padding. There's sure going to be a lot more of them. That's the only thing that there's going to be. Yes, was the answer to your question.
You do, right?
Like I do even in practice. But as I break it down in my head, it's like I think I should have a little bit more of a fear.
you
I think
should,
that-
but you're not going to get elbowed in your fucking head and cut your thing open, bleeding him. So,
Or if you go down, he's not jumping on top of you. You give me just a second to configure. So
what is the most painful thing you've ever felt in your fight career?
Oh man, I had and it's still out to this day. I had a rib that came out, and one of the more painful things. It hurt very bad, but being at the doctor's, I remember the doctor said, "There's no way to reset it. There's no cast we can put it in," and he said it's going to continue to hurt until your nerve endings rub on each other and die. And I did like that statement is what hurt. Like I was in the doctor.
Wow.
Oh,
Fuck me.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And
you
what-
can't breathe,
what
when the
inflicted
rib
it?
is out.
What
And a guy landed on me. I was wrestling for the Pac-10 championship against a guy named Rusty Cook. And we went to the mat. When we went down, it went out. And right at the beginning of the match, I got him on his back. If I could have pinned him, it wouldn't have mattered. But I didn't pin him. Rusty Cook was tougher than hell. I wonder sometimes what he is doing these days. But at any rate, That hurt really bad. Yeah, the rib hurt really bad. And then a broken nose hurt really bad.
Against whom?
Broke my nose in practice. Seth Roy, my teammate, threw a punch and his elbow came through. And boy, when they reset it, by the way, like it hasn't gotten any better than when our grandparents did this. They put 2 rods up your nose and they start, just like the chopsticks, but they're metal. And they start twisting them. Oh my goodness. That hurts. When they reset it, they shove golly.
This is a question I just had based on something you said. The part that's hardest for me to watch with UFC is when the guy is out, and what you brought up, the guy gets on top of him, and you have to knock out a guy that's already unconscious, most likely to win. Is there any chance you think there's like a count that UFC goes to where it's like you got 5 seconds or 6 seconds or whatever, maybe not 10, 7 seconds if you're down on the ground to get up or whatever? Because that seems...
Yes. Well, they sure could if there was like any kind of a safety. I fully agree with you. And those referees are so good. So fat.
There's no way you can jump in there.
I mean, I was so happy that Izzy beat Pereira, but that punch when he's on the ground, unnecessary.
Sure.
The knockout, I was thrilled.
Yeah.
This was just like, in general.
It's just
Dan
hard
Henderson,
if they're not clearly out, they can be taking guard, and then you don't really know. So
the Dan Henderson Bisping one, is that the one?
Yeah.
Oof.
And Dan came down and clobbered.
You have to do it to win.
And it was fair and square, right?
Do it to win.
I mean, the ref hadn't stepped in.
I think I've seen guys pull back.
Yeah.
I've seen guys pull back.
For sure. And I've also seen guys pull back, and then, by the way, not get the finish, to your point. And they go, oh, no.
There was a fight recently.
300.
Moicano.
Yes. Moicano, Jalen Turner.
Yes, Turner against it. Turner thought he dropped him, and it was going to be game over. He doesn't game over him. Moicano ends up winning the fight.
Turned and walked away, and Moicano
But that's
came
what I'm
back.
saying. If there's a count or something that's in place where it's like, this is the rule, and this is going to piss off a lot of UFC fans. I admit I'm a big pussy. I just don't like seeing that because you're watching most likely extra brain damage for no reason.
I think it's a great point by you. I think it's very fair.
Yeah, it's just rare. I would say that's so rare. And also when you're in the heat of the moment, like a lot of times this happens. I know you're probably talking about a standing knockout into a drop.
Yeah, I mean, Stylebender and Pereira is the fight that's coming to my mind. Pereira's out, and Izzy has to win. I remember Joe Rogan called it a hammer fist from the gods. But like this guy's unconscious, and you have to.
Sure. Yeah. If you're wondering for a real answer, like the only way they would change something if there was like some data from a medical perspective, and it's actually been the opposite on that. Now they are comparing themselves to boxing, which is the most dangerous. That's
the micro concussions.
That's
like
right.
Offensive linemen in the NFL.
Yes, and they've actually proven that bringing those guys up and setting them back out there, as opposed to letting that finish and it comes to a conclusion. So I'm gonna guess not, but I mean you make a fair point. If it became a habit, they would do something.
What happens in boxing, right, is you get that huge shot that makes you that concusses you, right? And then they stand you back up if you can, and then you get another huge shot,
punches,
not even 100, another big one.
Oh yeah.
You know, and then you're concussed again. Whereas with the UFC, you're going to get hit again while you're on the ground, but ideally, it's not like that Henderson Bisping thing. Yeah, some of those were fucking. Do you remember like ever crushing somebody's nose or like bones when you were hitting them? Does that go through your brain when you're fighting at all?
No, not in fighting where I felt it. I did one time, again, it would go back to a wrestling match. It was my own nose. I did the technique. It's called a belly back. I did the move as my offense, but his body came down and it's a very unique sensation. It's gross. Yeah. It's really gross. Like anybody that tells you they liked it or they enjoyed it, or it's weird. I took his soul, and I'm like, I'll see him doing it. I go, okay, now that's an interview, right? You're not actually a psychopath. Like I wonder that sometimes about fighters. I enjoyed it. I loved everything. Matt Lindland won the soccer kick, and his wife having to console him. Like Matt Lindland he is such a gritty competitor, though. Like the harder the match, the better for him. Like in the back, he was getting excited.
Hey there, Noodle Dick. I'm talking to you and me. Everybody knows I'm not good at sex, but you know what helps me? Blue Chew, the motherfucking Chew, the guys that have been with us since the beginning. Most of you guys need to improve your dick game, and the best part about Blue Chew is you can get your first shipment for free. All you got to pay is $5 for shipping when you go to BlueChew.com and use the promo code Flagrant. Again, you get your first month for free at BlueChew.com with the promo code Flagrant, and also visit Blue Chew for more details and important safety information. Thank y'all for sponsoring the pod, Blue Chew. Let's get back to the show. All right, guys, we're going to take a break real quick because we got to talk about these bad boys. Did you know that the flavored air category is quickly becoming the leading alternative to vaping and smoking? It is a whole new movement toward better habits led by the sponsor of today's video, Phew. Flavored air is not like vaping. If vapor was sugar-filled soda, Fume Coors would be closer to like an herbal tea, meaning it's not bad for you at all. And like an herbal tea, they have plenty of delicious flavors to choose from, like crisp mint, orange vanilla. With flavored air, you can satisfy your oral fixation through a passive diffusion system that utilizes no electronics, no vapor, no combustion. I don't even vape, but I love Fume. I love the feel of it. It feels solid. Also has this nice little, you hear that click? It's nice when you're fidgeting. It gives your hand something to do. And there is no vapor. You can use it anywhere. And most importantly, there's no nicotine. It's not addictive. It also looks fucking cool. It's got a nice weight to it. Like I said, high quality. It's a quality design. And it got a little magnetic thing that you just throw it at and it clicks to it. It's fantastic. You can adjust the airflow. It's wonderful. Guys, Fume has served over 300,000 customers, so it's not just me talking out of my ass. You could be the next success story. So for a limited time, you use our code FLAGRANT to get a free gift with your journey pack. That is at tryfume.com, tryfum.com, code FLAGRANT, and you get a free gift with your journey pack if you order today. Now let's get back to the show.
Have you seen any of these like Russian or like Romanian UFC? No, it's not UFC, but they're MMA fights that have different kinds of matchups.
4-on-4, boys against girls, guys in a car.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu in a car is crazy.
Wait, that's a real
Car
thing?
jiu-jitsu.
Yes, and it's like a fight. I don't know why they call it jiu-jitsu. I mean, they're fighting.
Yeah.
But,
And then the one that's crazy is there was a dude that fought 2 chicks.
Yep.
And he's just this fat, pot-bellied. Look at this guy.
Hold on, let me pull this up. This is wild. This is in Romania with their version of the UFC. I don't even want to say UFC because I don't know if they want to say
MMA. Their version of MMA.
Yeah, their version of MMA. And this guy takes on 2 girls. I don't know anything about who these people are.
Now, you're first. I'm going to tell you what you're thinking right now. You're thinking over there, is this wrestling? Is this stage? And we have all asked ourselves this, and we have all watched it repeatedly. No.
No,
No, it's not.
No, this is crazy.
Oh my!
He goes
I don't
under.
even want to watch it.
Oh, yeah, no, he is trying to hurt. Nah. And how do you get a guy to agree to do that? I mean, what kind of a man would go in there and do that? How
I think
do
it's
you
easier
get
to convince him.
agree?
Yeah, I think there's
Sure.
a lot of guys.
I think
Yeah.
convincing the
Newly
girls is the hard part.
Yeah, I would imagine you're right.
Shit.
You give him the headgear and the whatnot, but I mean, what guy wants to go? I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, he wanted more. Look at him.
Yeah. It would seem like you're preying upon somebody that's maybe not at a full capacity, which is a pretty slimy move.
So that's the question.
Event promoter to do.
Is this inevitable? Is this like an indication of the end of an empire? Like what's happening here?
It's the opposite. They used to do stuff like this, and then commissions stepped in, and it was small stuff. You couldn't get on TV with things like that, but it was small shows would do that, or a man against woman fight. And then commissions got involved. I mean, it was one of the absolute first things they stopped. There would be no such thing as a 2-on-1. You wouldn't even ask a commission. It wouldn't be gender based. But there would also not be, man versus woman or heavyweight. That guy was clearly a heavyweight versus, some 35 pounders. I'm just sharing that. No, I don't think this is the direction we're going. It's very funny how history repeats itself. I mean, this is where we started and came out of that, at least in civilized.
There's here's the car jiu-jitsu thing. That's crazy. Okay, so this is what I assume it is.
That's just roughhousing with your friend.
Yeah. Is that how you do it?
Give me my phone back. Come on.
I think this is what happens
That's crazy.
when for example, comedy is huge right now. So there's all these different versions of comedy that are like comedy adjacent that can pop up. And they can be popular to a certain extent as well. And fighting, I think, is huge right now. So these are other people trying to, drift off of fighting.
Sure.
That's what I assume.
Not drift.
Drift. Yeah. So it's like...
If you can't be better, be different, right?
Exactly. But because there is a lust to see fight sports right now, it's like, okay, well, what can we do that's kind of like that? If fighting was, way less popular, the UFC is not as big as it is, Bellator, PFL, all these different things aren't out there, I don't think you're seeing these iterations. You're still trying to make kickboxing a thing. You're still trying to make Muay Thai a thing. But the fact that it's so massive, I mean, like, even kickboxers are making money now. Kickboxers weren't making money.
It's true.
Like, these Muay Thai guys, they weren't making money.
Sure.
Now
Andrew Tate, we talked about that, $3,000 was his, I think, his biggest payday.
Isn't that crazy?
Champion 4 times.
I just wonder if the human brain gets so used to stimulus that
you just need another version of
and
it.
someone will bring up kind of like a morally justifiable version of this, whether it's not men versus women specifically, but like if it's like, these 2 women want to fight in America and you can listen to them and they're like, I want to beat this guy up, and it's somewhat of a level matchup where it's like, a flyweight dude and 2 women.
We did it with the guy, the wrestler's name was Chyna. Chyna fought.
The pro wrestler Chyna.
Yeah, the female.
Okay.
Yeah.
She fought the husband of the lady that was like shot in Long Island or something.
Yes, she did. Joey Buttafuoco.
Holy
Oh
shit.
my god.
Great recall.
Yes.
She fought Joey Buttafuoco?
I'm almost positive.
Didn't he get shot in the head or something like that?
No,
The mistress shot the wife in the head. And Joey knew nothing about it. He actually stayed with the wife. He didn't know who the mistress was. I mean, that was his story. He didn't know who she was. Joey had owned an auto body shop, and he had a shirt made for his auto body. Joey Buttafuoco bought a shirt, or what,
Yeah.
but the wife had like made it. She only made one or two. It was like let's start.
Yeah.
And the mistress
Had one.
the shirt. So Joey didn't even know. Her. I mean, he went that far. I was like, oh my god, I've known her, but this didn't. He didn't even know her, and the wife's
this
like,
it?
she stood by him, and she didn't turn him in, and but the wife's like, she has that shirt.
She has
So
that
She
shirt,
goes, I only have one of those made.
Wow.
Now that's actually from a miniseries movie they made. So I added that from the movie, but they said that actually happened.
Wow.
All right, so this is Buttafuoco, but that's not China, is it?
Yeah.
Andrew, is that China?
Yeah.
I remember China being
Amazing
way
you remember
bigger.
that. I didn't even know this happened.
Yeah. Look at him. Look at him.
Yo, that's how much steroids has like
Have we
improved.
confirmed that's
'Cause
China
used to be huge in my head, but
Yeah.
if that's how she's
I think she was huge compared to girls.
Joey
Yeah.
Buttafuoco.
And why did they agree to it? Like, who wanted to see?
That is her. Huh?
I mean, this was during the celebrity boxing thing. Oh,
Oh, this was a celebrity boxing match?
Yeah.
Okay.
so celebrity boxing
It
kind of
wasn't commissioned by the Nevada
I don't
State.
know. Because she was a real deal, not a boxer.
No, celeb boxing popped for a second, but it didn't have like the influencer draw.
Yeah.
And the influencer draw is interesting because you know exactly how many people more or less care about the individuals. They had to guess. They're like, will people care about Chyna and Joey Buttafuoco? And they did for this one, but other ones I don't think.
I care, and we're 10 years later. I mean,
Yeah.
this has been 20
Yeah.
years later.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What year is this from, Mark?
2002.
Oh, so she was already big at this
Huge.
point. She had done the WWE thing, yeah.
Yeah.
She had a book.
Okay, what celebrity are you getting? in the
Trips
ring
used
for?
to tag that. Trips was into a girl that looked
Who's
like a boy.
Trips?
Triple H is his name.
Oh, yeah,
Hunter
Triple H.
Hearst
Yeah,
Helmsley.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They were
And
together.
They were engaged,
Yeah.
and Stephanie, fair and square, became the other woman. Yeah.
Fair and square.
Well, it's fair and square, but so when Trips goes
I've
and does
never
it,
heard of
Stephanie.
mistress
Well,
taking a man being described as fair and square.
Stephanie doesn't like get to become she did that to somebody else, and then she's upset that
But possession's 9/10 of the law.
That's right. Not not for nothing.
Oh,
but
did he cheat on her as well?
many times he's hunting, fishing off the company pier. I mean,
Okay.
it's what they do over there.
Wait, what do you think would happen to Vince?
I went on the Jim Rome show, and this was over a year ago. You know, Vince just got hit. It was like 6 months ago. I'm making up a number, but it kind of feels like about 6 months ago. And I told Jim Rome, and it was the middle of a smack off where you're talking trash anyway. But I said I never met Vince, and I know 11 people that he slept with. 8 of them men, 8 of them women, all consenting adults. So, which is the implication.
Wow.
But that's true. That wasn't the joke. And Jim wouldn't run it. It was too hot. He said, "Man, we can't do it." Like, oh, Jim, I wasn't joking. I was talking trash. But I wasn't joking.
Yeah.
And anyway, I mean, when Vince got Me Too'd out of the business, I did think it was a surprise. But as good as he is, I would not completely count that he couldn't come back. When the men start coming out, it will be a different story.
Wait, he used to bang dudes a lot?
Oh yeah, but he would hold their careers over them, just like he would the women. It was the same thing. You get paid more, you get pushed more. This is not a secret in the industry. Like
Wrestlers?
I'm not talking trash, right? Yeah, not at all. Am I talking trash? This was
V
very
Diddy.
well known. Sure,
Yeah, P Diddy.
sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, Shawn Michaels, like guys that you would know. There was things.
Wait, he
that
was
had to
banging
be
Shawn
done.
Michaels?
Yeah, well, or whatever it is that they. But yes, they had their relationship.
Shawn Michaels was pretty
because
good.
you're wondering if I'm like
He looks like
doing a bit.
long hair.
Oh,
Yeah, long hair.
cute.
Shawn Michaels not bad.
What about ravishing Rick Rude or whatever? What
I
about
don't remember him.
Yeah, Razor Ramon.
If you had to bang
Wait,
one
he
dude
was-
wrestler,
he was-
who would it be?
He was
Are you
Chyna.
saying like if you had that perhaps Michaels was the right?
Yeah,
choice?
if you're Vince, who are you choosing?
Okay. Well, wow, that's always
Or
a hard one.
boxing, MMA, whatever, community.
I'm trying how to think of without sounding gay, but it's
almost
like I don't want to do
impossible.
that. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
trying to think of how. to do that, I
Go
mean,
like Rey Mysterio, so you don't have to see his face.
see, now that's a stud answer right there. I was trying to process something. But then that's one of the things. Like there is a lot of homosexuals that Vince came across, but there was also straight guys that just wanted to push in the business where it like turned into prostitution. That was very well known, and not just Vince, Pat Patterson and some other executives.
So they were
and the world was different. Like even Harvey Weinstein talked about that on Howard Stern. Like, hey, it's a different world. I liked it more when it was back then. What I'm saying is, I'm trying to illustrate that is not a secret.
Harvey Weinstein said
kept
that.
it to
Harvey.
themselves.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I thought just
Harvey even said that. He's like, well, it was better when like that back then, back when we could give him a job in exchange. Yeah, he openly spoke about it.
Yeah. So Vince was clapping cheeks. Hold on, let me understand this. So Vince was clapping dude cheeks and girl cheeks.
Yes, for pushes though. See that also didn't used to be illegal, but now yes, if somebody's career dangles on that, and he would tell. I mean, straight everybody would know. This girl turned me down. She's pulled off TV.
Wow.
So then he goes to the next
story.
one.
Yeah, but it is the Diddy
Everyone.
thing where it's. I think it's just power. Like, I want to lord this power over you. I'm going to make you do things you don't want to do.
Yeah.
As a dude, especially, he probably got off more on that just off of the power he felt.
No, I get it, but none of that is out.
There was things people
when
speculated that
backstory comes
psychology.
up?
Yeah, that there's things that you can't buy when you're a billionaire. So then you start seeing how far can I go with things.
And that sociopathy often like pushes people who are also talented to the top. But it's
just say allegedly around all that.
Yeah, allegedly.
Well, I talked to some people in wrestling, and they were like, "Those texts we all 100% believe it's real." Because I was like, "What 8-year-old text? I mean, what grown man texts like that? It's an 8-year-old texting with a U for Y, like instead of YOU, U capitalizations off." He's like, everybody knows it's real because that's exactly how.
Sure, and yeah, it really wasn't. Yeah, I mean that was internal. That was his own kids that came. They knew that was happening.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's not a secret. Like the woman in the office that's doing the least, and we all park in the same lot, and she's the one that pulls in the nicest car. Like there was ones before her, but they got old and they lost it, and now she's the one. And then she got a little bit older, and so he started bringing in other ones, and so then she started to run out of money. Like this wasn't something that was uncommon over there. Vince spoke about this. He had told Razor Ramon, rest his soul.
That's another good one.
In my first homosexual experience, and he went from there. And Razor said I didn't know. That's how he revealed it to me. Vince has spoke about this a number of times, and people have always thought that he was joking.
Yeah, apparently
he was never trying to joke. He was just telling the story.
Wait, what is it? What is it?
Okay, so basically he says, this is Vince speaking. He goes, let me tell you about my first homosexual experience. And I remember me and Kevin were both sitting in Vince's office at TV. I looked at Kevin. My first thought was, as opposed to your most recent one, like you and Warrior on the bearskin rug. He was talking about when he was living in North Carolina, he was hitchhiking one time. And I don't know anything about Vince's past, but I'm thinking hitchhiking from where? The pool to the country club? Like what? He said some guy picked him up and was like rubbing his hand on his leg. I'm thinking, okay, now you told me. What does this have to do with wrestling? But I remember being really resistant to it. This wasn't the way we were doing business.
Yeah. No, it's a well-known story, and I only say that Vince is so good and he's so clever. I mean, he got in really big trouble. They threw him out of the company. He found a way back in.
Yeah, how did he?
Grew a mustache, not completely unlike yours, but then there was a new guy. But he was a new guy.
Might be something out there.
Crazy thing. He changed his name. Now he's Uncle Vinny. I can't remember what he said, but he changed his name. And then he would even talk about that guy a year ago, that Vince McMahon. Yeah, what a scumbag. He is gone now. I am here.
Is he the greatest of all time?
Character builder. Yeah. Vince is the greatest heel of all that wrestling's ever seen.
Okay, and explain to me why he's outside of all the fucked up shit he is alleged to have done. Explain to me just why at his job he's the greatest heel. And why do people look at him, revere him, and so much in terms of building?
He just understood a psychology. I mean, he could create so much heat. He versus Hogan was like the biggest WrestleMania of all time, and Vince wasn't even a wrestler. But there was something about Boss. Him versus Stone Cold was these great angles. But he would come out and walk in certain ways. He would brag about being a billionaire. I mean, guys with money. Mitt Romney ran for president and tried to downplay himself. Just go to NASCAR and I eat KFC. Like you never do that. This was one of the first billionaires to say, "I have more than you, and I am better than you because of it. I will buy you and you will do what I say." And he came out and did that. And he said, matter of fact, don't call me Vince. You call me Mr. McMahon. Then he has his own walk. And I mean, it was just one of these things where you hated this guy. Yeah. This guy was awful. He would blur the lines where he would like come out and say things on TV as part of that character that he actually did to people behind the scenes. He would come out and say, "You're going to do this. Or I'm going to pull your push. I'll take you off TV. I'll put you over here. I decide who makes it in this business." And it was all real things, but he played into it. He turned turned himself up, and man, he was just a great heel. Another one you might remember, but Ted DiBiase,
Yeah.
the $1 Million Man.
Yeah.
But he would do the same. Ted DiBiase's character as the $1 Million Man largely is what Vince actually was, and then came out. Vince just made himself the $1 billion man.
Interesting.
Ted DiBiase was hated. He would pay you to, went to a hospital. His fingers cut. So there's a line of kids in this vignette. This is such a great vignette. You hate it. And they're like broken arms and stuff. Kids in wheelchairs. Kids that need to get to the emergency room. Vince cuts the line. They won't let him. So he gives
Ted
100.
or Vince?
I'm sorry, Ted DiBiase,
yeah.
$1 Million Man. Then he gives him 200, 300, 400. Until they finally let him cut in front of all these people so he can get a Band-Aid. And he turns at the line of kids, like look like an orphanage. Everybody has a price for the $1 Million Man.
No.
And it was oh my God.
fire.
Oh, but he was
That's
doing all
the
sorts of
promo?
stuff like
This
that.
is
Yeah. That's it. He cut the line. He has Virgil is paying the money. It really was unbelievable.
At what age do you realize the importance of the heel?
Yeah.
Because as a kid, I think we would look at these heels and we're unaware that we know that they're fake, but we truly don't like them.
Yep.
And now I feel like the heel we like to not like.
Yep.
We enjoy to boo them.
Yep.
We're in on the game,
Yes.
but it's still a game.
Yes.
There's a transition that happens.
Yep.
For you, is it young? Are you watching these guys and going, well, I know they're the bad guy, but I kind of like them? Like,
No, I didn't get it. I didn't get it until, college age. When I came back. Now, I had left wrestling. I left it in middle school. I didn't do it in high school. But when I came back in college, and that was the Attitude Era. That's when Austin had gotten fired.
Yeah.
Came over to Vince. When The Rock, went from being a football player whose grandparents used to wrestle to The Rock.
The Rock.
They had to rebuild. Hogan and everybody had left. It was a really interesting time. WCW versus WWE. Like that was a really talk about a industry to study. But that's when I came back, and that's when I started to get it and enjoy it. When I was a younger kid, I thought, I believed it. I believed it. I thought it was real.
So
I remember The Rock being the person that made me be like, oh, the heel is fire.
Yep.
It was so funny.
A cool heel is the most monetizable thing in the industry, in any sporting industry.
I remember
it's very rare, but if you have a cool heel,
okay, what
that's
makes
money.
cool heel?
The Rock would go into that category. Austin would go in that category. So you have the bad guy, but he still looks cooler.
Why was Austin a bad guy? I remember when Rock was a bad guy. I don't remember Austin as a bad guy.
Austin, oh yes, Austin used. They were going to throw him off TV.
Guy.
Yeah, he said ass. Yep.
Like,
Drank like beer, which is bad.
No, I remember the
Used
turning
the middle
point.
finger.
The turning point was right when my brother started watching wrestling, so I started, was he fought Triple H in a submission match, and then they had him turn face because he just wouldn't quit. Like he's bleeding from the head, refuses to tap out, and that's when they start celebrating and building him up as a face,
remember that
but he still
blood?
keeps this.
Yeah,
that's
remember that blood?
Yeah, yeah.
Incredible.
So
Yeah.
cool heel, and can you manufacture cool heel, or is that you just are cool and you end up being a heel?
Yeah, I would think McGregor would go into cool.
1000%.
Yeah. By the way,
I would ride into your
Yeah.
I would ride into your favela on horseback.
yeah, and cut off the head of any man not fit to work. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. What a. Oh my God.
Take the women and children and cut off the head. If this was back in the day, the McGregor clan would ride into your favela on horseback.
Yeah. Claim not only would he do it, that his ancestors did do it.
Yeah.
He
They went
that's
to
a
Brazil.
heel move.
The
Yeah.
Irish ancestors went to Brazil. Immediately got skin cancer.
Yeah. Well, you were asking about Austin. Austin had come out and said the word ass, and that had never been done.
Okay.
Oh my God. They thought they were going to have to pull him off TV. This was on a pay-per-view on a Sunday. Vince was irate.
So he looks rebellious. He's
Yes.
fighting against the company.
and it actually was.
Oh, it was
He
real.
went into, it's called going into business for yourself, where there is a script and you're live on TV, and he did not follow the script. He knew I could be fired or I'm going to make it, but I'm going into business. I'm taking a chance here. I'm
wow,
against you because
wow.
I
That's
think
awesome.
I'm right, and I think I know this audience.
And then Vince
were
knows
firing.
heat.
Yes.
So he sees the heat that comes off
Yes.
of it. And instead of firing, he goes, give him the fucking reins.
It was on a Sunday at a pay-per-view. You know, they got to catch
Yeah.
a plane. They're
Yeah,
live in a town for Monday Night Raw the next
yeah.
night. And Vince was going to pull him. And when he said the word ass, he also said, he said, Austin 316 says, I just whipped your ass. When they got to the arena the next night, they had 316 signs everywhere. And Vince was like, you. Yeah, he was going to keep him in the back. And he's like, you.
But when he saw the signs.
Yep, he realized this worked. And then he kept doing it. And then, there was even this weird time where every wrestler started saying ass. It's like, no, guys, stop. That's his thing. But at that point, there was good guys and bad guys. Always, for sure. He You didn't know where he was. He hated the good guys. He hated the bad guys. He was the first guy ever. He hated them all. He stood by himself. He was main of yes. He was against the bad guys, the good guys. Everybody got the middle finger, and that had never been done.
Didn't he do that on USA? Like, that's a crazy.
Remember they blurred out?
Yeah.
You couldn't
So
do that.
funny.
Drinking beer and stuff. I mean, now these normal things.
Yeah.
But yeah,
If you had to liken yourself and your character,
great.
if you will, as you played throughout your career, who would it be most similar to?
Definitely a collection of a number of people, but I would definitely ask myself, what would Stone Cold do in like this situation? I would sometimes even call Stone Cold and say,
"Oh, really?
In this situation, how would you handle this? Like the character specifically, your character, how would that happen?" So, but
Any
then I
advice
also
he
learned,
gave you that was great?
he gave me a couple of promos for John Jones. Yeah, he did.
Which one?
It was more ideas. In fact, I ended up not even using it.
Okay.
I called him and he answered the phone and I told him, "Hey man, I got to take on this guy. And he's a lot younger and he's bigger." And he says, "I'm driving down the road right now. There's a 2-lane road with a yellow stripe in the middle. Reminds me of John Jones. Got that yellow stripe right down his back." And he just starts cutting a but it's like what's actually happening. He's just thinking as he's talking and taking the time to give this to me. But it was more to just kind of turn my brain on to what a promo was, to what people wanted to hear, so that it didn't sound like and I'll see a lot of fighters will have one line and they'll drop that one line and the crowd does nothing, and then they're not ready for the follow-up question. And so then they drop the energy and the character and they just go back to themselves. And it's just this awkward. But I wish the person interviewing him when just drop the mic and go. It's worse when they hit that line
and then nothing to go through.
Yeah, and then they come out of it. The other side, we were talking about interviews earlier. But the UFC, everybody gets the same amount of time after the main event you win. And I do think Conor should get triple the time. Or Rampage, who had something to say, should have got triple the time. And I've never understood that. Why are you cutting his mic? We're all here to hear this moment. Everyone else gets 30 seconds. He doesn't. He gets 5 minutes. Give him the mic back.
Yeah.
They don't do that.
Rampage, another one, by the way.
Rampage is great.
But like, you never know what he's going to say.
Yep.
How sharp are the WWE guys in terms of developing their character? Is a lot of it sort of prescribed by Vince or by like upper brass, or is it them actually developing the actual ins and outs?
They are expected to do it, and it's one thing the guys that go into that business do not know. Like, you could be a huge star, and Vince might give you something like Vince wants a guy that does X, Y, or Z. And Vince likes to take real life characters, and then the IRS. Everybody's scared of the IRS, so Vince creates a guy called Irvin R. Shyster, IRS. It was just smart things like this. So people hate the rich guy and the $1 million man. I mean, Vince was very good at that, and he would tell you. But it was very limited. And then there would be, as they said it, there'd be a wardrobe guy there, and then the sound guy would be there. So then you go talk with wardrobe about what you need, and you and the sound guy try to figure out how to do that, and that's it. And then it either works or it doesn't. If you do a great job at it and it's Vince's idea and it doesn't get over, you're out. I mean, it's a really big deal. But the wrestlers a lot of times don't know that. They don't know the psychology. They don't know, when I show up, I'm in charge of this. Hacksaw Jim Duggan had to go to the 2x4 and make sure he had, these gimmicks, or guys that wore chains. They had to bring that themselves. And if they forgot it and didn't have their gimmick that night, they're not going to get over it, and they could be out the door. So it is very incumbent upon them to take you, whether it's acting classes or whatever it might be. And ripping guys off in WWE is encouraged. Like, hey, go take a movie and find a character and then just come out and be that guy. Razor Ramon, who I mentioned earlier, but he had watched Scarface and, he was Cuban and, say hello to the bad guy. It was very simple, but he stole that. He stole that from the movie and didn't hide that fact. And,
interesting. Do you feel like there's like an interplay with like UFC or like actual mixed martial arts guys and WWE guys in terms of respect? Like, do WWE guys see them and be like, yeah, but you're a real fighter? And then do the fighters look at them and be like, yeah, but you can sell anything. You're the best.
Yes, and I think it's more us. I think fighters, if they got a chance to go to WWE, would. I don't think WWE would come over. And fighters watch WWE and appreciate it. And not everybody in WWE does. That includes Vince. Vince was so locked on his product. He legitimately did not know other sports and who was who. Whether that's for better or worse. He was an animal, by the way. I wasn't trying to tease him earlier. But when you talk about could Vince come back, he's come back from everything, but. And I think he's trying to come back now. I think he's still trying to work in. Ronda Rousey and other people in that company say he's still the one calling Bruce Pritchard. He's still calling the shots. Really? And whether that's true or Trips has put his foot down, but I don't know. I think that Vince is trying to come back.
Would you be involved in wrestling? How is that
I would
not
be involved to a degree. Do you see what Pat McAfee is doing?
amazing?
Yeah, it is amazing. What a growth by Pat McAfee.
Yeah.
That guy came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
At least for me, they said he used to kick.
Yeah,
I couldn't
he's an
tell you
NFL
what
player,
team.
like completely.
Yeah.
No.
Works
Yeah,
his ass
professional.
off though.
Yeah.
But I don't. Even though he was a kicker, I don't know
Yeah.
what team. Maybe I'm being naive, but I'm just saying I didn't know
Indianapolis
a lot
Colts.
about him.
Yeah.
But I sure know about him now.
Yeah.
I mean, he got like $100 million deal at ESPN. He's doing the WWE
Oh,
thing.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Greatest
of
likable heel we've ever seen, Donald Trump.
Oh yeah.
Fucking president of the United States.
Yeah.
Likable heel.
Yeah.
Cool heel.
I mean, cool heel, yeah.
Yeah.
You will not convince me that Vince McMahon did not run that campaign in 2016.
I was just going to ask you, do you think Trump learned from Vince
Yeah.
anything?
I believe Vince ran that. I believe
Wow.
Vince was the greatest influence. Vince's number one thing. I mean, yes, it is business, but and entertainment, but it's psychology. I mean, Vince is taking a product that he's telling you is fake,
Yep.
and then making you cry
Yep.
when your guy doesn't win because
Yep.
you forgot that it's fake, and buy a T-shirt on your way out.
Yep.
I mean, his ability to understand psychology. You might remember when Trump had the tape came out with Billy Bush, and he's going to grab him, and
And then
that,
the 3 chicks showed up.
yeah, that was 11 days before the campaign. Just to remind you guys, it was over. I remember where I was when I got the phone call. It was over. Everyone pulled out. Guys that had put money in didn't send the checks. They canceled the check. It was over. Vince McMahon put $8 million in.
Whoa.
With 11 days left, Vince sent him $8 million. Vince is the only person to send him.
And why? What was his? Was he like? I think
Vince said we're not losing. He said we're not losing. This is not. We're not losing. It's not over yet. Not even close. And when Trump got in, there was no mention of this, but I mean, he had catchphrases. Yeah, he had lock them up. He started giving them nicknames. He started having the same songs, and it was like walkout music, and he was having chants from the crowd. It was his campaign was exactly the way Vince promotes a WrestleMania, and I do mean exactly. And then as soon as Trump got hired, it was on the first day, which is not literal, but I mean, it's one of his first assignments was Linda. She got appointed small business, which is what Vince just wants her gone. He just wants her out of the house, right? I mean, you got the boys and girls could just get her to DC.
Oh,
We're good.
Linda's his
Wife. Yeah.
Oh, he hires her. Oh.
Yeah, right away. I mean like that. He
Just-
appointed
yeah,
Big Man.
So he can
by the
fuck
way,
nude
was-
wrestlers in
Yeah.
peace. Yeah.
Which by the way was a good appointment. I
Yeah.
mean, she's solid. She's real solid.
Wow.
No, it's very interesting. And one of the reasons I keep bringing Vince up because I felt like we were talking about psychology earlier. Connor, we started with that. Why does that formula work?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, this is the master. This is Vince is truly, he can evoke that emotion. He can sell out arenas. It's a stunning thing.
So that's the thing that impresses me about Vince and other people that can curate this type of promotion. There are certain people who are superstars. And that's not to say that they don't know it and they can lean into it and create these moments. But there are some people that can't help themselves, right? They're just saying outlandish things all the time. They just have no filter. We don't really know how in control of Tyson's celebrity he is. I have great admiration for what he's achieved, but there might be things that he says that he is not trying to be entertaining to become the most entertaining things. Everything Vince has done is curated. Yep. That to me is the most impressive when you are making the things that we usually only like when they're authentic.
Up to a year in advance.
I mean,
add that to your.
isn't that
amazement.
crazy?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. No, it truly is a stunning thing. And then adapting through different times. I mean, Vince had to appeal to junior high
decades
kids.
since we're kids.
Yeah.
And now it's not junior high kids.
And now you're
it's
carrying
our
them.
age. Yeah. So, I mean, different markets and different times.
I waited online to buy a book for The Rock where he was doing a signing at Tower Books. Remember Tower?
Yeah.
And I remember just saying there, I wait online. I've seen this massive line around the block where they're like kids that are buying books. This is before the Harry Potter era where like reading was like cool. This is during the era where like, oh, reading for nerd. Like you were like almost rejecting anything that had like an intellectual, like a spin to it. We're online to buy this fucking The Rock book. And I'm sitting there and I'm like a kid, so you're not really reflecting on it that much. But I'm like, what the fuck is going on the line? People are practicing their Rock impressions because they're going to do
when they
it.
get to him. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. And I'm looking at this, and this is all. Now, obviously, tons of credit to The Rock for this, but there's also credit for the boss for recognizing what he has and leaning into it. Obviously, the guy's. I don't know. Has he been booked for the shit that he did? Is he? Did he go to jail for any of the things he did, Vince?
Who, Vince?
No.
No,
No, nothing. Right?
No, not even facing that.
It's not infacing. Okay, so but you'd still want to sit down and you want to have one of these convos where it's just like break down what you know about human beings. The first time you sat down here, that was the first thing I asked. I was like, you get something.
Yep.
You get something about human beings that gives you a huge advantage in this game that these other guys try to create. And you called it out about the post-fight conference. They're like, okay, if I have my one witty line, I'm good.
Yep.
I don't see you break character during the post fights.
Right.
Like I'll look at your post fights. If Joel asks you a question, it don't matter what he asks you. You're gonna say what the fuck you're gonna say.
That's right. And I appreciate that. Yeah. And I tell people, don't answer. You're not here to answer questions. You're here to handle questions. Like let him ask the question. And then here's what you go right into. And you're right. I never broke character because I was always ready for it. But I wanted more. Yeah. I was disappointed when Rogan would bring the mic down. I was like, no, more. Like this is fun. The fight's not fun.
Yeah, that's the scary hard shit. Yeah,
this is the fun. I got the crowd. Like this is my moment. When they ended, I mean, that's when you feel okay. It's over, and now I got to redo this whole thing just to get those 90 seconds. The only part of this I enjoyed was those 90 seconds, and now they're gone.
So why don't you be part of wrestling in some way? To me, it's just such a no-brainer. You understand psychology of it. You already have the mic skills. You have the athleticism if you need to do it, but you could also do something to what like Vince and now I guess what Triple H are doing, where it's not as much active actual wrestling and it's more character building.
I had tried to pursue that at one time. I was still in college, WCW, and they had something called a power plant, and they would advertise it right during wrestling. And you went out there for a tryout, and if they accepted you, then you paid them. It was kind of like this business and marketing thing. But I didn't know that. I was a sophomore. I called the number. I got my tryout date, and I went out there, and I made it. Only me and one other guy made it. It was hard. Oh my goodness, I was an NCAA All-American, so I was in really good shape. I barely got through this thing. This would require such mental toughness. It was so hard. We had to do 3 things, guys, and this was for 3 days, 2 full days, and then the Sunday was a half day. But there was a bucket. 5-gallon bucket, you put it upside down. I remember, and when you do your squat, you got to come up on your toes, you got to throw your hands up, and you don't stop until you sit down on the bucket. And the reason I remember that is the bucket had a little lip, and we did so many of these damn squats, you can't see the bucket, so it was cutting into all of our legs. You did 50 of those. I apologize. You did 25 of those, 25 push-ups, 50 sit-ups, and you got up and you did it again, and you got up and did it again. When you've had enough, go home. And you don't come back. It was like Navy SEAL-esque. And I mean, guys were out of there early. He's great big steroid guy. I mean, really early. And we just did sit-ups and squats and push-ups. We got 30 minutes for lunch, and we went back and did sit-ups. And that is all that we did. And we did it the next day. And the third day, it's all we did. And then they took us to the parking lot. And we did some sprints as well. But by then, everybody was gone. It was just me and the other guy were the only ones that showed up on the third day. We made it through. They're like, you two were invited back. Which invited back, man, now you pay us money. But it was a business ploy, but it was really difficult. And that was my only foray. That when I came out of college, the internet was just coming around. There was no social media, and people didn't have phones. My point is, contacting someone was hard back then.
But what about now?
You would have had to have really known somebody.
But why not
now? I got ESPN. I got my thing going with USC and I'm not against it, but by the way, I guess maybe a more candid answer is I don't know how. I don't know who to contact.
It feels like it's owned by.
Yeah. Do I go to Triple H, that guy that I just told you was banging Chyna, the boy?
Yeah.
Do I go to him?
Or maybe Vince.
Or do I call Stephanie, who I said was the other woman, and then shouldn't be upset when there became another woman?
Yeah.
Are they?
I feel like they're okay.
They should know character.
Yeah, I don't.
They should know character building.
I think at a certain position, owner of the Dallas Cowboys, somewhat similar. Jerry Jones, whatever you say about him, he doesn't care because he knows it's all good in the end.
Sure.
Everything is good for me. I think Vince is the more so even probably, and then he probably passed that on to the kids. Whatever they say about you, it's okay. Yeah. It's good.
I
good,
agree.
bad, ugly, it's good.
I agree. And a lot of guys say that but they don't mean it.
Yeah.
They get
Most
their
of us
feelings.
don't.
No, most of us don't mean it. Yeah. But you are correct. Can I just say one more thing? I mean, if we're going to do that Vince thing, we're going to talk about everything that he went through. And I'm glad that we did, because nobody else is. Nobody has spoken up for Brock Lesnar. Well, but he went through, he lost his company.
What happened with Brock?
They have canceled Brock. Brock is alleged, not from the person, by the way. We've heard somebody else say that the person said, which quite frankly I don't doubt, but it's still hearsay, that Brock sent naughty text messages. Nothing more. Not confirmed. As a matter of fact, it is confirmed that Brock has never met this human being. As a matter of fact, it's confirmed that Brock has never spoke to this human being. It is believed that a naughty text came from a number that is believed to be Brock's. They canceled him, and I mean out. He will never come back. He went down with Vince. So he's tied to Vince. Everything that Vince has done, Brock is now tied. Nobody has spoken up for him. Nobody's defended him. Now, Brock doesn't have a friend in the media because Brock's never done a damn thing for anybody else. But nobody has been Me Too'd. And to think that he doesn't have one friend that will speak up and just say, hey, by the way, you don't even know it's him. You haven't even asked him if it's him. He hasn't even commented. The person in question didn't complain about it. She allegedly told someone else who wrote about it on a phone number that has never been tied to Brock.
How does this even enter?
Allegedly, and by the way, they were, so I don't know if you guys know the story, but allegedly they were like planning to meet. And Brock was doing, he was being, whoever this person was, they were being like a normal guy would, hey, send me a pay, and then upping it. Well, now send this and send that, and what if I did this? And
is this alleged woman?
Let's get a killer and kill a homeless person. I mean, they just kept.
Wait, who says that? No,
I'm sorry.
No,
I was performing.
I know you were on a run.
That's Aziz. I took that's Aziz's thing. Kill the homeless person. And a great job, Aziz, by.
Oh wow.
Now I'm just curious: is the alleged woman maybe the wife of somebody very important?
No. She worked in the office. She was a gal. She was in on it. She's actually not mad about it or claiming like from a sexual forced. Like there's no crime other than she had an NDA. She was owed $2 million. She got $1 million of it. The other $1 million didn't come. And she's like, you owe me $1 million, which by the way, she's right. It is very clear that she is owed $1 million. It's not clear why that money was pulled. Like what this has cost Vince when he could have just, that's a little bit unclear, but that is what happened. No, she is not going to the police and saying I was forced into anything. No.
Wow.
What was he? In what capacity was he involved before? Like before he got canceled?
And is that Vince?
Brock. What was Brock doing? Because
for them, he was their top draw.
No.
When he got canceled, he was their top draw.
Oh yeah. I mean, you could argue it was Roman Reigns, but I think it was Brock. You couldn't argue it was anybody other than Brock or Roman. No, he was the biggest thing, and he finally found a gimmick that he liked. He was playing like cowboy / butcher Brock.
Yeah.
He was cutting up meat in the back, but you could see his face. He was genuinely, for the first time, having fun. You know, Brock, as much as people would look at Brock's life and go, I want that, he really didn't have fun. You know, he doesn't travel well. He's very uncomfortable and he gets pulled in a lot of directions. He's got a social anxiety. He told people, even people that were close to him, I don't have a cell phone. But he just didn't want you to call him. And that was people close to him. Like people really believed he didn't have a cell. He's got it right in his pocket, but it was one of those things where he just like moved out in the middle of essentially nowhere, and I mean, that was just the life that he wanted. I only say that because what people looked at and go, well, what a superstar. He didn't want to be in the lines. He didn't want people patting him on the back and surrounding him. He didn't want anything more than to walk into those arenas and walk out. I mean, he'd wave to everybody and be nice, but it was one of those things, and he's actually done a lot for people that no one knows about. Like he's very loyal to the college that he graduated. He gave massive amounts of money and donations, which really helped people that he'll never get credit for. He doesn't want the credit. Yeah. But I'm just saying, to imagine that nobody spoke up for him in all this time.
What does that say?
He should be the one suing them for breach of contract. He should be going after them, everything. How are you possibly? They've taken him off the website. When I talk about canceled, it's not that we don't assign him and put him back to work. They've taken like he doesn't exist. He was never. He's pulling off the video games, the DVDs that are out there, things that are online. His matches are gone.
Is he the sacrificial lamb so you don't go as hard at Vince and they can save some face and not have to oust their own father?
Do you think it could be something to something?
I just think they got to oust the reputation.
Sure.
So anything that falls in line with, workplace harassment or abuse, you got to get that out of there.
It could
imagine. Or you're just doing like you could be killing a story with another story.
Yeah. Right, because I believe it's the same woman that's also accusing Vince. That's what you said?
It's the same woman. Yes, but she has not come out. She has not spoken up and said, Brock Lesnar did these things. She allegedly had told someone else, and then someone else had reported this to the media. And it was just a phone number. In fact, just to finish the story the way that it went, but Brock was escalating the text messages, and they had planned to meet. There was a hotel, and there's a whole thing was planned, and COVID hit, and the travel never happened. They never met. He's never met her. He's never FaceTimed. He's never spoke. She has nothing to tie this to Brock. By the way, Sure, it could have been Brock. I'm just talking about when you cancel a guy and you go against a contract, you take a multi-million-dollar contract aside from destroying a guy's reputation, and you did it on that. You did it on hearsay that is that weak. That's never happened. That's all I'm suggesting. And for one person until right now to not come to the media and speak up on Brock's behalf, not one single friend he made in 20 years.
Maybe it was Vince.
Come on.
Maybe it's Vince.
Yeah,
like,
it
yo,
was
you
Vince.
talking to my girl?
Yeah.
I wonder if it's Vince
Wow.
trying to poison the authority that's accusing him.
Sure.
And saying like, look, this girl's accusing a lot of people. She's calling everyone out. She's obviously not a trustworthy source.
But what if? Sorry, to interrupt.
I don't know if that's the case, obviously, but I'm wondering if
possible.
the fact that they're
Fun
connected seems
speculation.
suspicious to me.
Why doesn't
Or, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
If she's fucking everybody, she's not being abused by Vince.
It's the same thing they did
She's
to
a
Kobe.
hoe.
Rest
She
in peace,
said that.
Yeah.
Yep. She has not claimed there was a crime. Yep.
So yeah.
It wasn't because there is some crime, even if nobody knew one was being committed, there is some crime that you actually could tie Vince to, and federal prosecutors allegedly looked at it, decided not to. But when Brock was getting re-signed, they have Vince's text to this girl. Then they have these alleged texts from Brock. The Vinces are Vince and the girl is the girl. And Vince was saying to her, hey, I'm doing a new deal with Brock. You're part of the deal. I have promised Brock you need to reach out to him now. And
Wow.
yeah, and that did happen. And there was
Wow.
a renegotiate in the timeline where, and then all of a sudden you have this random unconfirmed number sending some naughty messages.
Allegedly.
To go.
Sending some
bro.
naughty messages.
Allegedly.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he didn't hide it. Yeah, Vince took a crap on her head. And
Allegedly.
allegedly, but not denied.
Now the Saudi deal
Allegedly,
makes sense.
It was like a group of guys.
That's
They all
good.
WWE.
Good
There was like a group of guys in a hotel, and
That's
it's
good.
unclear.
He shit on her
if it-
head.
Yes.
What do you think that's
and
about?
I think he should only call her that from when he refers to her. He should
Shithead.
refer to her.
Shithead.
That's all he should ever refer to her as. Yes. But here's what's unclear: was it an accident? That's
Probably.
the part
Shitting
that
on her
is
head?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Got in a weird
don't you
position.
hate
It's like,
that?
he's
Yeah.
1,000 years old.
Yeah. Oh, you're saying it was like 69, but he was on top. and
Maybe
then shit on
something
her
like
head.
there was a group that went
Yeah.
after this had happened. I don't know if they used a towel or like they didn't make it clear.
She ate
yeah.
prunes or something.
Yeah.
Who knows?
And they didn't make it clear. It's like I really wish you would clear
Do you
that
think
up.
he was like
That's
loosened
really,
up by somebody first?
gross.
Yeah.
I'm just like, this was very normal culture in that.
Shitting on women's
Yeah, yeah.
Well-
I mean, the culture though that's going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the guys that are coming out and covering this and help to set Vince up, they're still there. They were part of the culture. Like there's still leadership. It's one of these interesting things where all right, you
I
put Brock
hear-
down and you took the owner of the company. This is
guys
what
were
you
all
left.
part of it.
Yeah, it's one or the other though. I mean, are we cleaning house or are we not?
Apparently, Brock's text messages. I don't want to out this too much, but this is from
Please.
a website that I found, an obscure website. The wrestler asked her to send a video of herself urinating.
Yep.
That's not even
Which
sexual.
how embarrassing.
That's not even sexual.
Yeah.
It's
And how embarrassing if you're Brock and that's like the thing that, I mean, how embarrassing.
It's just a bodily function. It's not even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's straight up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then
God bless.
after she did, allegedly, he called her
That makes
a
my
bitch.
foot fetish less weird.
Oh, really?
That's what this claims from the Wall Street Journal, I believe.
So she does send the video.
According to this,
And he goes, you bitch. Something like
that's
that.
what this
Wow.
that's what this is alleging, which is the funniest way to respond to someone sending you.
It's a rough world.
She's like, fine, I'll do it for you, bitch. I mean, that's too good to me.
If you're AEW, why don't you just sign Brock? He's a massive draw.
Yeah.
That's why it's good. There's a second wrestling federation or league or whatever it is. But yeah, why doesn't AEW just scoop up Brock and really help the company?
I had never even thought of that. And yeah, there would be an extent to that for sure. And you can get Brock for enough dates, 4 or 5, something like that. He's probably not going to do many more than that. But I also wonder that with the WWE, like they have canceled him, but are they still sending him money? Is that
Yeah.
why he's not going with AEW? Like, did they is to keep the? But it's a public company. We could find that out.
I wish
The
we could ask
question I
him. He
just
just
asked-
doesn't have a cell phone.
Yeah, that's exactly right. How you
That
gonna
is the
answer?
problem.
Yeah. Unless you're a girl peeing, apparently you can't.
And then all of a sudden,
you
there's
can't get a
Cell
hold
phone
of.
shows up.
yeah.
You can't get a hold of
Text
Brock. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it's kind of a. it's a little bit of an unbelievable story. Whether you think that was Brock or not, I actually don't choose to weigh in on that. I tend to think it was.
You know what's kind of funny?
I'm just sharing that. What kind of evidence is that?
Yeah, it's not cancelable.
But
Right.
with WWE, it's like there are all these storylines that happen with the characters, and you're like, these storylines are just unbelievable. And then you find out what's happening behind the scenes, and it makes what's happening in front of the cameras so believable. Yeah. Well, these guys like each other. One guy hit another guy with a chair. That's what you do. You don't like a girl and then shit on her head. That usually does. If that happened in an episode of Raw, first of all,
Much better.
Yeah. There was another guy, John Laurinaitis, very high-ranking guy.
His son
very
played
high.
in the NFL.
That's
I think,
exactly
right.
right. I think it might have been a nephew.
Okay, but they were the Road Warriors or something. They had the
Warrior-
spike shoulder
oh
pads.
yeah.
Road Warrior Animal is his brother. And
Okay.
Road Warrior Animal's son, I
Okay.
believe, played for the Rams. Might even still play. Very good player.
Yeah, Jacob Laurinaitis something.
Yeah, but I'm just sharing, like, and Laurinaitis has been, goes back to the 70s. He's been around forever. When his career was over, he went into the office, and he was part of, like Vince really, like, during office hours, for him and Laurinaitis to go into the woman's office. Everybody's out here working. Like, this is shut the door. Everybody, I'm just sharing that it was a cultural thing. So Laurinaitis gets hit in this, and Laurinaitis took a very interesting defense. He lawyered up and he said, "I am a victim. I too was paid by Vince, and I too, if I did not show up for these acts." Whether I was the one doing this or the one doing I did not want to be there. Yeah, he said I didn't want to be there.
It's kind of
And
believable,
I
to be
also would
honest.
have been fired.
It's kind of believable, to be honest. with you.
I didn't want to fuck this hot girl we hired to fuck.
Yeah, but I don't do it with Vince every time.
That's funny.
I'll do it on my own accord.
There's
Yo.
twins. The Bella twins.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Legion of Doom, that's
Laurinaitis
who they were.
is the stepfather to the Bella twins. So
Oh,
he's
wow.
very tied to this.
Yeah.
And he hasn't denied that any of this. I mean, it was right during office hours. Linda's walked in when Vince is, she's like, oh,
I will say that-
and finished. She's like, finished what she went to the filing cabinet and got it out as he's got. And I'm going back to the 80s, and I don't even know the dude.
shouts
And
to
I'm telling
Linda,
you
yo.
stories.
Allegedly.
Shouts to Linda, yo. I put her on my president's cabinet.
Yes, that's
Keep
right.
a secret. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get some files out of it while I'm doing what I got to do.
Now, this is wild. I will say the WWE female wrestlers, if you're judging by like then and now, like Chyna versus what they got now,
Sure.
which are these beautiful
yeah, of
girls,
course.
Sure.
it would let you believe that,
What?
That
there's
Vince is
some
out.
extracurricular activities happening.
Sure.
That's all I'm trying to say.
Damn, you didn't want to crack China's shit.
Well, no.
No,
I think Trips was getting that.
No, it makes me believe Vince is out because now they look much less like dudes. So if you're fucking them, you know what I mean? You want to fuck them.
Well, we got to know what this girl who's alleging looks like. That's a good ass point, though.
She's 40, by the way,
Is
which
she?
only surprised me. He's the much younger.
You know,
Like
yo,
there's a
that's
lot
the
of
most
these divas-
disgusting part of this
Right.
whole thing.
That's surprising, at least. It's at least a little bit surprising when you find that part of it out. But I lost my train of thought because I think maybe even 42. I remember saying, "What?" Did you remember that? It was what my father-in-law Steve and I are watching this. He took a dump on our head and we're giggling to each other, and we're trying to speak in code because my 8-year-old son's in the back, and we're like trying to have this, and then we find out she's 42, and we're like, "Oh, it's typo. 20? You mean 24?" Quite frankly, but I think she looks closer to 24. But and that's new Vince. See, that's not the dirtbag. The dirtbag's over here. The new Vince with the mustache. See, he did not do anything wrong.
He looks so
this
much
guy's
creepier.
innocent.
Yeah, no, this guy's innocent. In fact, he looked back at that Vincent K. McMahon and thinks, "What a dirtbag." This is somebody else, though.
Yeah.
He did this in front of the world. He came out with a new look and a new catchphrase
What
in
was
front
the,
of the
what was the
and
new
it worked.
catchphrase?
I don't even know what it was, but he did it. He actually took on Pat McAfee at WrestleMania. I've never seen Vince look so bad. He couldn't. He ruined the show. And Pat McAfee, who had never done it before, made the match work. Like, if you ever want to see Pat's true wow skill, it was him versus Vince. Vince couldn't move. There was a time when Andre the Giant had to hold the rope because he'd fall down. So he couldn't wrestle him, but they had to come over to him, and he couldn't let go of the rope. Vince wasn't far off. It
Really?
was bad. He should not have. It was bad. And Pat carried him. Pat's got no experience, and Pat carried him and made the match work. Yeah.
Wait, but that was this past WrestleMania?
Yeah, that was 2. Vince is out for this one. This was the first
yeah.
one with Trips.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
I think I saw a couple people on Twitter. Well, I was looking at wrestling Twitter randomly, I think, to research a story or something. But they seem to really like Triple H. They said Vince, it's better off without Vince.
Yep.
A lot of people seem to
Oh,
think.
so people like the new management.
They see Trips as a great executive. Yeah, that he's there, he's available, he understands things. You know, if he gives you an answer, you can count on it. They came out to Portland just recently, and I worked with the commission, so we were there before anybody else. And Trips was there. I mean, when the guys were in the ring early and kind of going over their spots, and you know they have a meal before they change, and there was no other executives there. And there's Trips. He's with the boys. He traveled out to. Yeah, I think that Trips. I think he really likes what he does, and I think he must be pretty damn good because that's a competitive business.
Yeah,
you know, it takes a lot. Like the idea of replacing Dana is not something that I haven't met the person.
Yeah.
I haven't met the person because they can't put in the time. They're not going to go 7 days a week, 18 hours a day. They're not. They're going to require as humans more sleep than Dana does. And the same could really be said for Vince. Vince would fire somebody if they yawned. He couldn't understand. He couldn't understand why somebody needed sleep. He didn't know why he needed sleep. It infuriated him. Why? Why would God make, why do we need to sleep? And if somebody would yawn in a meeting that's at like 3 a.m., you tired of making money? Yeah, he'd turn on him. He'd get
really?
Yeah, and it was legit. He didn't understand.
It does make sense, though, that he took a popular figure from wrestling to replace him.
Yeah.
Because as the owner of the business, you also need to be a personality that represents the business. And I think that's something that people probably underestimate with Dana. Is like Dana is a personality. He can be the face of the business. He is the celebrity CEO, if you will. Right? And
100%.
he needs to be able to do a podcast with people for hours and answer questions and be entertaining and go up and talk to media. Triple H can do that because he spent decades in the spotlight honing that skill and that craft. If you just hire some geek, someone who would run like a basketball team or something like that, they can do it behind the scenes. They can look at the X's and O's and they can look at the numbers, but they can't be that personality. And
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Like there's other guys that could do the paperwork, but to come on and be a promoter, it's a rare thing.
That shit is hard.
I mean, even Don King.
I was about to
but
say.
he was being silly.
But
he did
he's
this.
out
He was
there
being
with the
silly.
fucking flags. And
It was short. He couldn't sit down in a podcast format. It was silly. He had a quick thing, and it worked for many years. And
people
it
don't
took a long time. Bob Arum never got it. De La Hoya never got it. Eddie Hearn does to a degree.
I feel
but
like
there's still
De La Hoya is like flirting with it now.
Yeah.
Like he's like realizes how people see him. And he's like kind of talking about his past and kind of talking about like what he went through. I feel like he's not trying to uphold the golden boy image. Like he's like, okay, that's done. Now everybody knows that I was a degenerate cocaine addict that loved fucking, and I could also beat people up. All right.
Yep.
Now, like I feel like he's almost like he had a moment with Canelo in promoting Canelo's last fight. I guess he was also the promoter of the guy who was fighting Canelo, where Canelo started cursing at him and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, are you getting this?
Yep.
Nobody knows who this fighter that you represent is, but Canelo's now fighting with you. So I wonder if Oscar is.
And Ryan Garcia has also turned on Oscar. You saw that miniseries they made on Oscar. It was a true story. Like Oscar helped him with it, but we were so close. We were like so close to getting there. He revealed to the world what a scumbag he is, which can be a really good counseling session. And like we were so close to this actually helping. And right at the end, one of the last things he says is he goes, I look back, all the bad things, terrible father, didn't see his kids. I mean, the worst things you could do. And says, but I wonder if it was wrong. Maybe it was all worth it to get us here because we're all so happy and successful. Whatever it was, like right at the end, he didn't take any responsibility. All he had to do was out himself, tell the truth, and then take responsibility.
Almost learned a lesson.
Heel.
He was
So
this close.
He's a heel.
Have you
was
ever
a
met
heel.
Vince or any of these big wrestlers?
No. Stone Cold comes to some of the events. The Rock comes to the events. I've actually never met him. I've walked past him. He's been at our fights. I've walked past him, but never met him. I got to go to a WrestleMania after party once. And so I met, just real quickly, but Bret Hart was there and Roman Reigns was there. John Cena was there. Randy Orton was the nicest guy. Randy Orton was the cool guy. He was on the dance floor, man. He was cutting a rug all night. Orton was great. But past Rikishi and some other, they don't know us though. It's not the same thing. Like where I knew each and every one of these guys and remember them to this day and remember the brief interaction I had, even if it was just hello. It's not the same.
Who's
I
the
think
greatest
that's
of all
changing.
time?
Professional wrestler?
Yeah.
Well, I believe in professional wrestling, whoever made the most money is the best.
Because
And that's Hulk Hogan. And they said that he didn't know the difference between a wrist lock and a wristwatch, that he was going to hit you with the right hand and drop that leg. You know, he was never going to hit actual wrestling moves or anything hard. That's what they said. But I like the guys that brawled. I like wrestling back when it looked like a competition. Now it looks like a performance. It looks like a cooperation that's a performance. I don't like that. I don't like triple backflips off the into the tables and things like this. I think it's weird. I liked it back when it was a fight. I liked that Hogan threw right hands and moves that if you were in a fight, you would actually use. Yeah. Pick a guy up and throw him down and then kick him while he's down. I like those things. So I say Hogan. If you wanted to like the absolute best technician, boy, they got a guy right now named Seth Rollins. For Seth to be number one, he's got to be better than Bret Hart. He's got to be better than Shawn Michaels, which he might not be. Those guys were good, but he also might be. Seth might be number one. He is incredible athlete. He could have gone into anything and done very well. He just somehow found wrestling. But I think that it's important that you look at it from that perspective. And that might sound silly, the guy that made the most money, but
no, it's not real.
True in everything.
Yeah.
Like,
but that's also a great point.
Wouldn't it be The Rock?
Right.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be The Rock that made the most?
Well, and now, yeah, that's right. Like, I would imagine The Rock's come on. They say Stone Cold just on his merchandise.
Wow.
You know, they say that's changing.
Cena must be close.
Yeah. And Hogan didn't really have a chance, by the way. Like, not everything was pay-per-view. They had closed caption. And Vince was the first one with the WrestleMania to bring that out. So I'm just saying, like his whole era. Muhammad Ali, by example, has no records. Well, they also didn't have pay-per-view back then. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not as though pay-per-views beat him. It didn't exist back then. Yeah. You watched a Muhammad Ali fight by gathering around a transistor radio.
Yep.
It was just a very different time. So, you could be right that The Rock has passed him up. I would think that is correct.
I wonder how that worked out. Like when they did those fights abroad, the gate can't be worth much, right? Because you're fighting in the third world country. You can't charge that much money for tickets, or else who's going to show up?
Right.
And the exchange rate is dog shit.
Yeah. So like, I guess what was it? It must have been TV rights that paid the fighters, and
Had
then
to have been.
had
Right?
to be.
Yeah, it had to be.
So
right.
it's distribution, and everybody's just watching on NBC or wherever the hell they're watching it. Got it. And I'm sure there was some sponsors for the events, and then the fighters, I imagine, just weren't making the type of money that the fighters.
Yeah, I don't think they understood. Again, bring it to NFL, which is what I know.
Yeah.
The NFL just had like a deal with CBS to broadcast the games.
Right.
And then Jerry Jones actually was the guy that was like, no, we can shop this around and make a lot more money. And that's how the money has gotten crazy in NFL and NBA. TV rights. Let's shop it. This is a bidding war now.
Distribution's a very hard business to know. Like, there's not a lot of people. There's not even a lot of books on it. But even the UFC that sold to ESPN for $1.5 billion, that all got announced and was public. But if you look a little closer, that was a North American deal. If ESPN in Mexico wants to show, it's a whole nother fee.
Wow.
Or if Dana wants to take it and sell it to somebody that isn't ESPN, he wants to do that in Germany or Switzerland or.
So he maintained the international rights for it.
Yeah. Wow. So all of a sudden, like, you get these places that come out and brag. PFL and Don Davis were very excited. They're like, we're in 68 different countries. But that's a really big deal because it's 68 different
checks.
Deal. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And I don't know a lot about that. And I don't know anybody I can call and ask. I don't have any friends. I don't have any family. There's not really anybody out there where you can learn about that. It's that's where the real competitive part of the business comes. Then if you're in pay-per-view, the theft rate right now is so high, you really can't do
people
a pay-per-view.
Downloading illegally,
showing it on TikTok, having certain websites you can go to, and so Dana's got this infrastructure, and he's
just outing myself. I don't pay for pay-per-views.
Hey, it's one of those things.
If
You
we've
get
met
sent
the fighter, I'll pay, and if we haven't,
yeah.
No, I have to every single time. It's too much. They go through too much, man. That shit is too crazy.
I was in France for what do you think
I know, right?
That was what a performance.
I know. Thank you for calling him out on that. Thank you for calling him
all
out.
that means is he saw the warning by the FBI at the end of the show for $250,000.
Let me try again. Let me try again. Do you know what those guys go through in there? They go through. Hold on, let me get both lines out. Let me try again. Yeah, I just can't. I can't steal it. I mean, those guys. Yeah, they're getting punched and kicked and choked. Something would happen at a WWE office. I mean,
what does one cost?
What pay-per-view?
The ones that you buy every.
I think they're about like $25 now, aren't they?
They're about $25.
Gotta buy every single one. Every
I feel like we got one
You have
more.
to do that
Let's
on
take
a
one more on
.com,
that.
or can you do that through your remote control?
I do it right through the remote.
You do?
Yeah.
Because
I can watch it on my Nintendo
everyone
Switch.
else has to
Yeah.
go to the .com.
Yeah, I don't.
Special remote?
Yeah, it's a special remote. I feel like when a guy's willing to sacrifice that much and be in that ring like that, and if you don't, you're taking money. He's
Sure.
giving up his life. The least you can do is give him a few dollars.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep. And if you do get it wrong, you get a teleportation device, you go back in time. And if you believe that, you must be kind of stupid. By the way, I was going to ask you one simple question.
Yes.
Are you getting to the position with this show where people are beginning to kiss the ring? And I'm talking about, to
No.
use Rogan, but politicians, aspiring politicians are calling and trying to get on the Joe Rogan
Yes.
show. Are you having to deal with that? And if
Yes.
so, okay. Do you have a policy? You have a policy where, no, we're not doing this, or I'm not doing that, or if I have this one, then I'll have this one.
Are
or,
we? It's just, am I interested?
who do I
in
think
it?
is interesting?
Yeah,
Okay.
who's interesting? Who's like?
Because there's no other way to have a conversation, right?
Yeah,
Right,
I don't.
you have to- okay.
And if, like for me, I think it's interesting. We had a couple guys that ran. We had RFK, and then we had Vivek, and I was interested in both of them. And I was
Vivek
like,
had withdrawn by the time we had him on, I believe.
Vivek
but
had-
we were
had
at
gone.
least in conversation while he was still going. I think we were the first interview after he withdrew. But I was like, I want to know what it's like. Why would you make the decision to run for president?
Yeah.
Like, I want to know what's going on in your head. You don't have to. You have all the money in the world. You have a family. Like, your family's going to go through hell. Why do you think this needs
What
to
did
happen?
he say, by the way?
He
truly thought he could make a difference.
believes that he can make a difference.
He
And-
can, by the way. He actually can.
He
Yeah.
was fucking unbelievable. I just think he cannot communicate to people that he like tries to dumb it down and he dumbs it down too much. And then I think we're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, he'd be somebody that like. I also think that there are some extreme things in his beliefs that he's willing to pay the price for. I don't know if Americans are.
Sure.
Like he was bringing up something. I don't know if it was Jefferson said about like the people deserve a country. No. Democracy ensures the country get the people get a country they deserve.
Yep.
And I'm probably butchering that quote, but by deserve meaning like if we get rid of a lot of fucked up shit and people's lives are impacted negatively because of that, if we get rid of these government programs that we think are bloated and they probably are, but people's lives are impacted negatively, he's like, we deserve that. And I don't know if the average American is willing to take that on. Maybe they are.
Sure.
Maybe they're not.
Sure.
But I thought he had a unique way of looking through things, and I thought it was kind of cool. And then RFK, I thought was great. Like, he really impressed me.
Yeah.
And by the way, I feel as though he's going to pull out because he will be the decision maker one way or the other. I feel like he's going to pull it. Do you believe after meeting him that he has the resolve to stay? Because both sides are trying to make deals right now. Right now, these deals are coming in, and they're big ones too.
What do you mean by resolve? What does that mean? Like to stay in? Like is it the integrity?
Yeah, I'll give you an example. We just saw this with Kerry Lake, but the people that are supporting Biden and think that he's going to be harmful, those donors and so they're already calling and offering RFK a seat on the board, which is no different than Hunter Biden selling a painting for $10 million. It's the exact same thing. But I'm just sharing with you: does he have the resolve to stay in this to the bitter end, or is he going to jump in exchange for the buyout?
I don't think that you can influence him as easily with money. Like, this guy's a Kennedy. He's been around money his entire life. Money is not impressive to him. Like, it was funny when he was talking about hanging out with Epstein. He was, I was like, how's the jet? And he was like, it was all right. But, like, he didn't say it as a joke.
Right.
He objectively judged the jet.
Enough jets.
Yeah.
that it was just okay.
Which
sure.
to us is like, what? There's more than one? Like, I thought it's just Delta and then private plane. There's a lot of them apparently. So I don't think you can bribe him with money. I think that look, maybe everybody has a price, $1 billion. I don't know, but his price is obviously going to be much higher.
Sure.
And I think he really kind of likes nature. Like that's his thing a little bit. And maybe that identity is curated by like, working for these environmental agencies or whatever he's done. But like, so I think it's going to be, what are you going to give him that he really wants?
Yeah. What can you offer him?
When he came and saw you guys,
Yeah.
did he have security?
This is a little
Are
suspicious.
you planning something?
Yeah,
What's
no,
up?
what the fuck?
Let's go back to the beginning of this episode. If I was to shoot, I would go.
I can't wait till the card turns.
Yeah.
Well, I just wondering, I thought that was very low that they didn't give him secret.
Yeah, it is a little
that was very low. And when I talk about, well, he have the resolve to stay in, it's like, well, he just might because they've done so many terrible things to him. I mean, from what Nancy Pelosi did to him to the dismissal by Joe Biden to putting his security in harm by not giving him secrets.
Well,
that alone could piss him off.
But now he has the money.
Sure.
Right? I think the girl that's running with him, I think, is the wife of the founder of Google or something like that.
Oh, I didn't know he had.
Yeah, he's the running mate, huh?
Yeah, so
Wow.
she's got
Yeah, you're right.
deep pockets,
All right.
and like I don't know if that's strategic, but like he is good. He's good for security.
They're playing this game, by the way, of who's going to be Trump's running mate. Do you guys want me to ruin this for you?
Yes,
Do you
please.
want Mike
Yeah.
Pompeo?
So this is what's fascinating. If he chooses Mike Pompeo,
I know nothing about Mike Pompeo.
Mike Pompeo was the what's it called, Secretary of State, right? If I'm not- yeah. If he chooses Mike Pompeo, I think that all of the drain the swamp Republicans, the right wing drain the swamp guys that are like, oh, Trump's going to come here and change everything. If you choose a true establishment politician figure like Mike Pompeo, I think you break the hearts of all the fringe groups. Now, they might not vote for Biden, but I don't know if they'll support Trump. But what I think it does is by choosing Pompeo, I think it brings over neutral Democrats. I think it's basically Trump going, hey guys, I'm not going to shake shit up. I'm going to do the same thing I did last time, where I hire all the establishment people to be in my cabinet and in the positions of power. And I do things a little different. I say things a little wild, and maybe other countries aren't as comfortable bombing because they think that I'm a loose cannon, but I'm still going. I'm towing the company line.
Sure.
Do you think that's what that is? I mean, Mike Pompeo is as establishment as it gets.
I can tell you this: when Trump had made a statement, they asked him, "Do you know who your VP is going to be?" And he's now playing the game, but he didn't play it at first. Which I don't know, and see who can go out there and work the hardest and get all these things. He didn't do that. He said, "Yeah, I do," and then he kind of corrected himself and said, "Well, 30% I do." I can tell you in that moment when he said 30%, he was referring to Mike Pompeo.
How do you know?
How do you know that?
How do I know?
He's the fucking bad guy.
How do I not? How do I not? I'm sharing something with you guys. I'm sharing some insight.
Oh, wow.
You want him to kiss and
Yes.
tell?
Okay, keep going.
No, that's not like some glamorous that Mike Pompeo. The Dana White would have been a hot spot. I'm sharing. No, it's
We
Mike
just
Pompeo.
wanted confirmation.
I'm just getting in front of it. Just so you know, if you're wondering why Pompeo pulled out of the race when Trump got in, it wasn't just respect and honor. He does very much, but. Yeah, if you wonder why Pompeo's been so quiet, it's not because he's out of the game. He's coming back. I'm letting you know when he made the statement of 30%, he was referring to Mike Pompeo.
I really thought it was going to be Nikki Haley, because like she kind of pulled back her words of.
Interesting.
No, she said like,
what would you possibly
he would be
need her for,
irresponsible if.
Yeah.
I mean, to get the other half of the party that was anybody but Trump.
The Republicans fall in line, though.
Wow.
You just need
Everybody,
Dems.
yeah.
That's what I was thinking about fringe groups.
What about
Fall in
Tulsi
line.
Gabbard?
I like her. I don't like
she's
Nikki
a
Haley.
Democrat.
Yeah.
Don't forget that.
Tulsi Gabbard a better Indian than Nikki Haley. Ain't that crazy?
Yeah.
Not even Indian.
Yeah. Is Nikki Haley not?
Nikki is, but I'm saying Tulsi Gabbard's a better Indian than Nikki Haley.
not
She's Hawaiian. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. What do we got here? Who else is there?
But-
Yeah, I just don't know that Nikki would offer them. I mean, there was a poll that came out yesterday. 54% of Democrats would rather somebody else other than Biden, but that's just something they say. If that was sincere at all, ask them one follow-up question: who? When you meet one of those Dems that blows in the wind and makes a statement, who? If they say Gretchen, if they say Gavin,
No, there's
something,
nobody else.
okay, then they do mean it. But they're just saying, they're just words.
What about pulling? There's reason to believe that Biden will be pulled.
Yeah.
What do you think?
He most definitely will not be, and I'm not sure why play that game, but it is a game. I mean, the Democrats are the ones allowing that story to be out there, and it just seems like they're not piling up and putting everything on Biden. They're throwing just enough on Newsom. I feel like the Republicans are falling for it.
Oh, so it's a tactic.
Oh yes, very much. They're throwing just enough behind. Well, we can't have that Kamala Harris. Well, that Gretchen, she had Michigan. She stood in a bad job. The Republicans are falling for what they want to do. Like,
What does that do? Sorry, what does that tactic do?
it would just take your focus off of Biden.
one
It
guy.
would just take off your negative campaign and all the negative things that you come out there and say, which is the miss in politics anyway.
Yeah.
Like if you're Team Trump, you should never say Joe Biden's name, which is there's not a politician out there that would agree with me, and I do mean zero, but they should never say Joe's name.
So how do
they
they
should
say
only
it?
tell you what's great about Trump. They
But what
should
about
never talk
Crooked
about
Joe?
what's bad.
What about like, or what was it, Crooked Hillary? Like,
Yep.
all the sayings
Sleepy
that he,
Joe.
yeah, Sleepy
Yeah.
Joe. All the sayings that he curated were like fantastic.
Sure.
And those
No,
were
so,
sticky.
some of that's fun. I'm just sharing with you. Like, it's a really big mistake when they go out there and they've got TV time to put Trump over, and they spend 80% of it talking about Biden. They're doing it from a negative standpoint, which they think builds Trump up. And I say, you guys got this wrong.
You're not talking about Trump himself,
Right.
Like, should Trump himself talk about?
Well, he can and deal with the issues, but no, not the way that he does. I mean, it's a broad stroke when I say never, but no, he
Really?
should not. No, nobody else does. I mean, to use a comedian or something, you're trying to get in front of somebody else, you would never start talking about, well, this guy's also coming to Madison Square Garden and then start putting him down. Like nobody would do that. No actor that ever made it to the top. No singer that made it to the top. Nobody
Feels like
comes out and does that.
It's being debunked a bit. Just even in comedy, Cat Williams went on Shannon Sharp's podcast, trashed so many other comedians.
God, that was fun.
It was
fun.
I mean, it was riveting,
Yes.
but it also kind of revived things for Cat.
Yes. Oh, sure did.
And then the entire Democratic ticket in 2020 was we can't have Trump. We
Yep.
can't have Trump. That's all they have,
Yeah.
even now. We just can't have Trump.
So who do you think wins?
Well, you're gonna have a very hard time beating Biden. You're gonna have a very hard time. Yeah, he's a very good politician, and I've never seen anything like it. You know, I was telling you earlier that I was so surprised to see my own colleague Stephen A. wilt so quickly and openly admit I am wilting because of your comments on social media. Like he was the tough guy in the room, and he wilt. I was just surprised.
Yeah.
Joe Biden is the only politician I've seen that will come out and say, I don't believe in this. My convictions are a different way. I'm not going to bring my beliefs and my convictions. Here's what I will vote when it's time to vote, because I know that's what the majority of you want. And he'll even go that way until it's not popular. And then he'll do an interview and he'll say, hey, listen, this is no longer popular. You guys want to see this. It'll increase my chances to get elected. He will openly say it. And he'll say, and I'll make you a deal. I will. For 50 years, I've done this one thing, but I'm telling you now, I will. And he honors
That's actually kind of awesome.
He's a very honest
To me, it's not a
guy
bad
about
thing.
it.
Yeah.
But yeah, isn't that what you want a
Yeah.
democratically elected leader to do? Is to represent the
Yeah.
populace?
Well, I will share with you this. I don't think you could give me another example where it's been done. I mean, I started this by saying he's a very good politician.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he is very interesting.
Obama.
I'll just give you a great example.
Gay marriage.
Oh yeah, Obama.
Obama gay marriage.
Both of
He
them.
was-
He and Joe, they were on that together. Absolutely not. And after the second election, we've evolved and they changed their minds. But I'm sharing with, and those things are okay. By the way, I'm not questioning a flip flopper. Like anytime you're confronted with evidence you hadn't previously considered, you're right to change your mind. You don't have to lock in and be stubborn to something you believed 40 years ago. That's not what I'm suggesting. What I'm telling you is Joe Biden, I can't think of another politician, will openly tell you, I don't believe in this. I do not believe in this, but because you are more likely to vote for, I will change. And that hasn't been done. Like, for example, he has been very instrumental in the pro-choice movement. But he is a Catholic and says, I believe it's murder, and I believe you shouldn't do it. And I do believe you will be judged someday. But I, as a politician, will not enforce. And when he had the chance to, he kept his word.
And that's a great
I
thing.
think that's
It's a great thing.
And you're saying people like that, and that's what makes him a good politician.
No, well, I'm just saying it's very unique. I can't think of anybody else that when you vote for a man to be your leader, it's because you like his convictions. He has convinced you, I know a better way. I've led a better life.
Even
I
if
have
you
more
don't
sense.
agree
I
with
can
it.
bring this to you. Yeah.
you trust
That's
him.
what a leader is.
But we're also
And
a country
I've
like,
never seen anybody.
against church and state. And
Sure.
so it's like, you don't want his religious beliefs to impose on somebody who doesn't believe in that same religion.
That's what he
So
said.
it's like, yeah.
It is
I
it's
said
a
that.
unique tactic, I think, is his point. Now, I understand how, to me, it makes me trust him more.
Yeah.
You're being completely open and honest with me. Every other politician lies. And even if you don't seem as convicted as them, I trust you more for giving me that honesty.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why it wins. But I think his point is just not good or bad. I've just never seen that done
Never
before,
seen it.
and it works. And he didn't think it would work. Because if I don't want to put words in your
That's
mouth, but-
very well.
And
Thank
that
you,
might be
Anderson.
to Trump's detriment.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, it is one of those it's a very unique thing. Yeah. If you look at border crossings, just by example, whether you agree with it or you don't, but if you look at Biden before the election will come out and say, you've got to have a secure border and you've got to keep it tight and I'm the one to do it. And I mean, just like deny this this piece of reality. Just it won't happen. It's already doing it with inflation, and those are just some of the things the Republicans aren't ready for. Like the Republicans are going to have their jaw drop. Like make no mistake, the plan is already in place. They're going to find a woman roughly 30 days before the election that Trump sexually abused outside of the China Club in 1988, and she didn't tell anybody, and there's no witnesses. But by God, you have to believe her.
Really?
And it's like, well, of course, for sure, this will come out. And it's one of those things, yeah. And the Republicans won't do that. Not only will the Republicans not do it, they won't be ready for it when it happens. They stand there and go. I watched the debate between Ron DeSantis and Gavin Newsom. And Ron DeSantis, who was very ready for debates and a very educated man, was not ready for Gavin Newsom to flat out deny reality, to flat out say, I've never done that, or to flat out take something that he did and to turn to Ron in front of live TV and go, and I can't believe you. And there's really not a way out of that if you're wrong. Go, wait a minute, that's your record. That's not mine. It's like, no, that's not how it works. Nobody's paying attention except you two. There's just a crowd that is judging this moment. And Gavin came out there and ran the state. Gavin will run them all out of pound.
Really?
Nobody can touch Gavin.
Wait, really?
No, there's nobody.
Why?
No current politician can touch him. He is the best politician in the country.
Why?
Well, he was raised from day one. I mean, they had him to be, at 8 years old is when they started training him to be president. And is he the nephew of Nancy Pelosi? He is the nephew of Nancy Pelosi. And I'll just share with you, there's a very likely scenario down the road where it's Gavin Newsom versus Don Jr. in the finals, in the general. And
I don't think Don Jr. got it like his dad.
Yeah, well, and maybe not, but I think he does. I think that he's really good. I thought he was the breakthrough star, in fact, of 16. If you remember, in 2004, Barack Obama was the breakthrough star. Nobody even heard of him. He's a first-term senator, and he was the one that was really running and lit it up. And sure enough, took out Hillary and got elected the next 2 terms. But I'm just sharing that I could see Junior and Newsom in the finals. And Junior's current wife used to be married to Newsom.
Yes.
It would be an interesting...
Kimberly Guilfoyle.
Yeah, it'd be an interesting piece of the story.
Oh, wow.
You're
for drama. Be very
That would be fun. This WWE shit right
It would
here.
be fun.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Junior's a shark, though. I think he surprised everybody. I think that
You
the
want to know
old
a
man
funny
wanted
Guilfoyle
Ivanka.
story?
Yeah, I do. Is it polite? This is Junior's wife you're talking
It's very
about
polite.
here.
This is very polite. This is self-admitted from her.
Okay.
I had a bit back in the day about
Teleportation.
Trump. No. Trump grabbing the girl by the pussy. And it's a funny bit. You can go look it up online. I don't have to redo the bit here, but it was in his defense, obviously, and I noticed once. This is a bit I did a long time ago, and I'm on Instagram. And I notice Kimberly Guilfoyle likes the bit. I get notified, right? And I'm like, oh shit, Kimberly Guilfoyle. Oh my God, that's Trump Jr.'s son. Oh, that's fine. And then it said Kimberly Guilfoyle followed you from that joke. And I was like, wow, what a woman to see the joke defending Trump grabbing women by the pussy and be like, I need to follow this guy.
Yeah.
Sure. I need to see what else this guy's got.
Sure.
She's locked it. She's 100%
Respect.
committed to the Trump family.
I like that story. I'm glad that you told that story. That had me a little nervous at first.
No.
I get it. All right.
I mean, doesn't she have the dirt on Newsom though?
Yeah, you would sure think. I can't imagine that she would bring that out. And I wouldn't respect it if they did. Like, have you ever been around the guys, and then the guys start showing you like a text message of some girl, and she like sent them a dirty text, and then he's showing it to you. I don't like that guy. That was a private thing that she said. I don't know. It's just one of those things. And if she did bring up the dirt on Newsom, I wouldn't want to hear it.
Really?
I mean, I would think that's unsportsmanlike. Yeah. Yeah, that is private. That was in the confines. She would know. It's unsportsmanlike, right? That would be a dirty thing to do, and I would be disappointed.
I didn't realize that was funny until you left. Yeah, that's funny.
I mean, it feels like out of bounds.
Yeah.
So you're
Feels out
against
of
like
bounds.
honeypots, like if a hot girl tries to seduce a guy to get secrets.
Yes. Oh, yeah. No, I would. Yes, I would think that would be.
Unless it's an intentional ruse. If it's intentional, is it gamesmanship or is it still?
Well, I guess I'll need some time to think about that. They don't do that back in Westland. I don't know. The prettiest girls in the world are in Westland. I don't know about the girls out here, the desperate girls in New York. I don't know.
It happens. Nuclear secrets got taken by a honeypot.
Sure.
Yeah, it's an Israeli woman actually.
Yeah. I'm sorry for the insensitivity we might have said with the word gay earlier. I didn't see the fingernails. I didn't. That didn't. But it didn't. I didn't.
Yeah, that gotta be
we are
the best
good.
to roast about fingernails. I respect that. I respect that one. That was
You guys
awesome.
have been trying to get rid of me for
That
20
is
minutes.
good.
Can you say, yeah, wrap it, or what do we do here? How do we,
Chael Sonnen, everybody!